Okay.
All right.
Okay, call to order the June 18, 2020 regular board meeting. We will stand for the pledge. We'll have the students present the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, that once bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave o'er the lands of the free and the home of the brave.
If we could have a moment of silence. You may be seated. Roll call of board members.
Here.
Mr. Abudrabo.
Here.
Miss Basford.
Here.
Miss Beltran.
Here.
Mr. Canova.
Here.
Mr. Daly.
Here.
Mr. Casper.
Here.
Mr. Pacenti. Mr. Smith. Miss Danny.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Mr. Pacenti said that he would not be able to join us this evening. Who would like to read the next order of business mission statement? No one? Okay. Miss Basford, did you say? Oh, okay. All right. The mission of the Clifton School District in an open and reciprocal community partnership is to provide all students with a quality education to develop the skills necessary to become literate, lifelong learners who are responsible and productive citizens contributing to a democratic society in an ever-changing world. Next order of business is reading of the Open Public Meeting Statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right to the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Clifton Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be publicized by having the date, time, and place thereof posted at the City Clerk's Office, Clifton Public Library, Administration Building, Senior Citizen Nutrition Center, on cable TV, in the local press, on the district's website, and mailed to presidents of parent-teacher organizations. This meeting will be tape recorded in accordance with policy 0168. So next order of business is recognition and award presentation. Resolved that the Clifton Board of Education recognizes the instrumental students from CHS and Woodrow Wilson Middle School who were selected for Region 1 Band and Orchestra for their achievements and accepts the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools to recognize the following students and commends them for the honor and recognition they have brought to themselves, their families, their school, and their community. Can I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion by Mr. Casper, second by Mr. Abudrabo. Roll call?
Sure.
Mr. Abudrabo.
Yes.
Ms. Bassford.
Yes.
Ms. Beltran.
Yes.
Mr. Canova.
Yes.
Mr. Daly.
Yes.
Mr. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. Smith. Ms. Danny.
Yes. Mr. Robertosi, can you read the CHS and the Woodrow Wilson Middle School, the students? I don't want to.
Yes, Ms. Danny, we also have a short video.
Okay, great.
These students, the New Jersey School Music Association offers students in each of New Jersey's 3 regions the opportunity to audition, rehearse, and perform on a level like no other. They take the best 90 students for orchestra. They take 120 students for band. And we're just extremely proud to recognize our students, who you mentioned earlier, who have successfully auditioned and completed the month-long season with this program. So we are incredibly proud of Lucas, Andrew, Hafsa, and Zeta for meeting the rigorous standards that the region ensembles exemplify. And we have some videos that are short excerpts of the region pieces that the students were due to perform.
Yes, and I apologize, I don't have background, so I'm gonna play them back to back. And our second video.
Next order of business is adoption of minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt the minutes of the meeting of June 4th, 2020?
So moved.
And I'll
Second.
second.
Motion by Mr. Abudrabo, second by Mr. Casper. Roll call, any questions? Any revisions to it? Roll call?
Mr. Abudrabo,
Yes.
Ms. Bassford,
Yes.
Ms. Beltran,
I believe she took
Beltran?
off.
she, Mr. Canova,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Casper,
Yes.
Ms. Danny.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next order of business, communication and announcements. Okay, Mr. Dr. Albertosi, this isn't where you're doing the one presentation?
No, Ms. Danny, during the item 10, presentation of
Okay,
reports.
Okay. Next order of business, first reading of policy. We do have some first reading of policy, which is 0152 board officers, 3421.13 postnatal accommodations, 4421.13 postnatal accommodations, and 8210 school year. Next order of business is presentation of reports from administration, advisory committees, and special committees. And at this point, Dr. Albertosi will be presenting the One Clifton presentation.
Can you just give me a thumbs up? Can everybody see my screen? Great, thank you. Tonight, I present to you a new vision for the Clifton Public Schools. Tomorrow is the last day of school for our students, and we will then enter the 2020-21 school year. And our new vision is going to be One Clifton. This is something that came about from one of our outstanding administrators, Mr. Mark Gingaro, who is our Director of Climate and Security. It came about as a result of the committee that we formed for reopening. And the vision is pretty simple. Clifton is a unique, diverse, and pretty incredible community, if you ask me. And this One Clifton motto is going to live with us from here on out. Starting tonight, it is going to live with us. It will be the umbrella under which everything we do falls under. So as we meet on the eve of the final day of the school year, we turn our focus to the future, the 2021 Clifton school year. Hashtag One Clifton. The goals of One Clifton are pretty simple. To show unity in our beautifully diverse community, to utilize our strengths and talents to rewrite the future of education in Clifton, to provide assurance to our community that we are all in this together, and to prove, most of all, that our diversity is our strength. In today's climate, in today's society, we are faced with some social upheaval. And some of the things that people believed in, some of the things that are going on are no longer, people are no longer able to believe in them. And every time our society experiences trauma, such as what, and not just the pandemic, I'm talking about the protests, Black Lives Matter, and believe me, Black lives do matter. But every time our society experiences and goes through something like this, we say that, we must do better. And this is my way of saying, here's how Clifton is going to do better. First, let me give just a brief background on our district. We have almost 11,000 students, 23 facilities. We transport over 2,200 students daily. We have over 1,600 full-time employees. You name a sport, we have it. You name a co-curricular activity or club, we have it, over 150 of them. And we are beautifully diverse. About 56% of our students identify as Hispanic, and they come from a variety of Spanish-speaking countries all over the world. About 32% of our population is white, 4% is African American, 7% Asian, and about 1% identify as 2 or more races. More than half of our students are considered economically disadvantaged as measured by free and reduced lunch status. About 17% of our students have an IEP and have a disability, and we provide services to them. And almost 8% of our students, almost 1 out of every 10, is an English language learner. And among our students, among our 11,000 students, over 65 different languages other than English are spoken in their homes. So when we talk about diversity, Clifton is a beautifully diverse community. And I truly believe our diversity is our strength. So what have we done already in our One Clifton initiative? We've done a lot. We've reduced the number of HIB incidents in our district based on race, color, religion, ancestry, national origin, gender, and sexual orientation. We've done that through our five-year school climate transformation grant for PBSIS. We've implemented stigma-free lessons in our counseling curriculum in kindergarten through 5th grade, 7th grade, and 9th grade. Those lessons, among other things, help students develop empathy for others who suffer from mental illness. The students also learn how to identify signs of mental illness, and as well as ways in which they can seek help. We also acknowledge the importance of being stigma-free by hosting a stigma-free week during the first week of December each year. During that week, school counselors create school-wide events and activities for students and staff to participate in. We formed a district-wide reopening committee that's made up of a variety of stakeholders. We initially started with our staff, and as soon as we received guidance from the Department of Education on reopening, which we expect by June 23rd, we will be adding parents and Board of Education members to our committee. We have a culturally responsive curriculum across all content areas. We've increased the diversity of our literature options. We've implemented inclusive instruction and teaching tolerance across all grade levels. We've established and take part in the Seal of Biliteracy. This is a program where students who can demonstrate fluency and bilingual fluency in both English and another language receive an actual seal on their diploma that verifies, the New Jersey Department of Education verifies that they are truly bilingual. This year, 81 of our students have achieved this prestigious distinction. What else have we done to become One Clifton? This year, I believe we've improved parent outreach and communication in Spanish, Arabic, and other languages as needed in our community. We provide interpreters as needed. We're completing our 14th year of SIOP, which is a training that helps teachers differentiate and scaffold instruction for our linguistically diverse students. We have an intensive focus on constructivist math and multisensory reading and language arts instructional approaches to support and include all of our learners. And finally, we've been designated as a high-performing district by the New Jersey Department of Education. In order to be designated as high-performing, we had to meet all New Jersey CUSAC indicators, which include cultural competency and a culturally responsive curriculum. However, we are certainly not where we want to be. So, Here's what we will do in the future as One Clifton. The first thing is an initiative that I announced at our last board meeting. And this is my baby. This is something that, God willing, will long outlive my tenure as superintendent and go on for decades in Clifton. And it's the Clifton First equals Clifton Forward initiative. And the goal is to recruit our own students and have them enter a variety of careers in education. To do that, we're going to leverage Clifton high school academies to develop a Clifton to college, back to Clifton pathway. In Clifton, like most school districts in the country, our teaching staff does not reflect the demographic of the town. One way that we can help change that is through our Clifton First equals Clifton Forward initiative. And plans to start that program and to partner with local colleges, plans to do that will start this summer. What else are we going to do to become One Clifton? We're going to provide increased support and professional development for staff in multicultural inclusivity and diversity training. It's something that's necessary. It's something that we all need. We're going to increase opportunities and programs to support student, family, and staff mental health. We're going to expand our PBSIS programs in all of our schools through a multi-tiered system of supports. And we're going to create ongoing interactive feedback between the district and community. We're going to listen better so that we can strengthen our relationships and our programs. There has to be a feedback loop, a continuous feedback loop, and we're going to create that in the future. We're going to re-engage our students once we're back in school. We're going to re-engage them in learning through dynamic, interactive, and inclusive instruction while addressing the whole child's needs. This summer, we're training our counselors in advanced trauma and treatment for children and adolescents, as we anticipate a high level of anxiety and distress upon our transition back to school. This pandemic has caused a lot of trauma mentally for students, young people, and adults alike. We anticipate that we're going to need not just our students, but the adults will need some mental health counseling upon return from school, at least more so than typical. All of our staff members will receive professional development on the first day of school from our counselors who are taking a trauma-informed, compassionate classroom course this summer. This will help us increase opportunities to address all the social, emotional, relationship, and communication needs resulting from our school closures. But most of all, what One Clifton means and what One Clifton will do is it'll help our community rise above what's going on in most of our country now. Rise above the hate, rise above the fear, rise above the uncertainty as One Clifton. When we return to school, we'll continue with our strategic plan. Many of you were a part of it. We had 2 great sessions back in January and February, and then we closed school. So we're going to continue that. But everything we do will fall under the umbrella of One Clifton. Everything we do will be about including, not excluding. And we will open this up to a wide variety of people who are interested. And I look forward to this being on bumper stickers, this being on pencils, this being on shirts. This is going to be the future of Clifton, because we truly are a special community. Despite some of our differences, we are One Clifton and we are strong. As we enter the 2021 Clifton school year, I thank you for listening to this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Robertosi. Do the commissioners have any questions? Okay, seeing none, next order of business is the presentation of reports from board committee reports, I'm sorry. First committee report will be policy.
Thank you, President Danny. The Policy Committee minutes are from June 9th. We began the meeting at 6:30. The attendees was myself, board members Joe Canova, Frank Casper, Jim Smith, and Dr. Robitazzi and Luis Ross. The agenda included SE 8462, which was presented for first reading at the Board of Education meeting from June 4th. Dr. Robitazzi suggested amending the policy to replace the assistant superintendent as his or her designee for page number 2, supervising counselor and student services. Number 2, SEO 152, board office bylaws. After discussion, it was agreed upon to recommend option number 1, wherewith the voting for the board president and vice president would be conducted via a written ballot. Number 3, SE 321.13 and 4421.13, postnatal accommodations. There would be a new policy. The committee recommended the adoption of the policy with the deletion of the first and last sentences of the last paragraph, which would have required nursing mothers to sign in and out when taking advantage of accommodations provided in these policies. Number 4, SE 28210, the school year. The committee discussed the proposed revisions to the policy and agreed that the recommendation to the full board to include the optional language on kindergarten. In addition, the discussion was held as to why pre-K was not included in the policy. The committee the committee thought there was previously a policy adopted concerning the pre-K. Discussion was held on whether or not to add pre-K to the policy if no pre-K policy did exist. No recommendation on this was reached. In addition, it was agreed not to include the optional language in consultation with on page 2. The meeting adjourned at 7 p.m. and the minutes were written by Mr. Ross. Any questions?
Oh, seeing none, thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Legislative Committee.
Thank you, Madam President. Hope you all can hear me. So Legislative Committee met on Tuesday, June 9th, 2020 at 4 p.m. via Zoom. From the Clifton side was myself, Fahima Abudrabo, Commissioner Juice Basford, Joe Canova, Jim Daly, Superintendent Danny Robertazzi, and Superintendent has also invited the State County Superintendent of Schools, Carlos Rodriguez. From the legislature side, there was Senator Nia Gill, Assemblyman Tom Giblin, and Assemblywoman Brittany Timberlake. Now, these are our members from the 34th Legislative District. So earlier this year, the New Jersey Department of Education informed the Clifton District that it was to receive an increase in state aid of approximately $7.8 million for the 2020-21 fiscal school year. The district prepared its 2021 budget built on that information, and our preliminary budget was submitted to NJDOE County Office, and it was approved. Now, within the last 2 weeks of the June 9th meeting, the Clifton School District was informed by NJDOE that due to state revenue shortfalls, they would cut that amount of 5.3, or as Mr. Jim Daly had made the calculations, 68% of what was anticipated. Now, we had a few things on our agenda we discussed with our legislators. So the idea was what? The idea was set the stage of, you can't argue and fight back what was taken away, but we can prepare them and give them the information to make sure they're aware of what that money means to Clifton, what it can do for Clifton, the programs, the teachers, the administrators, etc. School funding was discussed. Mr. Abdrava spoke about the programs and the monies that are spent on areas spent on general education, special ed, and what the district cuts means to Clifton School District. Mentioned that this meeting was to set the stage and provide information for future conversations that the legislators will have on the Assembly and Senate floor. We discussed the cuts that were made in school districts across the state of New Jersey. We particularly discussed $0 cuts in municipalities such as Jersey City and Red Bank. The response we received by the State County Superintendent of Schools is that these towns had previous cuts while districts like Clifton received increases. So the understanding that cuts came from the increases in retrospect the Department of Ed reversed some of those increases. C, Mr. Canova discussed special needs in Clifton and the amount the district spends on our students and the special needs program in the district. The committee requests from the 34th New Jersey legislators that the state of New Jersey look into setting special budgets based on each district's special needs expenditures. D, Ms. Basford spoke about special needs budget that comes out of the general budget, the social and emotional learning, the diversity of our school district, the special need average cost of $100,000 per student at approximately 150 students, and our special needs preschool districts numbers are rising. Mr. Daly discussed the lack of direction from NJDOE. We need better direction and firm guidance. He also recommends to New Jersey legislators that the State County Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Carlos Rodriguez, that the legislature and the NJDOE set separate budgets for non-Clifton schools, such as charter and PCTI. It's not fair that while Clifton sees a cut, that we still need to set aside the same amount of monies for other schools, especially during the times of this pandemic and virtual learning. We also mentioned that Clifton sets aside approximately $1.4 million, an increase in our budget for these same schools. Excuse me, where'd it go? Here we go. Sorry about that. F, Mr. Carlos Rodriguez of State County Superintendent of Schools will reach back out to Trenton on guidance that was requested by this committee on behalf of the Clifton Board of Ed. He also commented that Red Bank had a shortfall from before. Whoever received an increase, they had it taken away. Jersey City's taken a $55 million cut with no increase, $2.5 million from the CARES Act. Now, number 2 discussed was the CARES Act. Superintendent Danny Robertelli discussed that CARES Act money will be used to purchase more devices for students to make sure students do not miss a beat in the classroom. B, he also asked if we should be embracing more cuts. It's something when Bernie Timberlake responded, we do not know what our future is going to bring. We went into this year for our budget season, and with this unexpected COVID-19, our focus had to change. So basically, they couldn't promise what was going to happen, whether there's cuts or whether there's any sort of changes. C, the Assemblyman also mentioned another discussion will take place with super and board presidents to have a community discussion in the near future with NJDOE. We'll be able to speak to the leadership of NJDOE about our complaints. As of now, no announcements have been made for the replacement of Commissioner Rippolette. Number 3, charter schools. Mr. Daly mentioned since now our budget has been cut by $5 million, charter schools should have their own budget and not have to get it from Clifton. It is not a secret that we are hurting by the amount of money we put aside for another institution and that does not operate at the same standards. So approximately $6 million comes from the Clifton Board of Ed budget. That's what Mr. Daly was discussing. B, the request again was repeated to curb charter school budgets from the Clifton Board of Education to coincide with the Clifton Board of Education budget cuts, meaning that if the Clifton Board of Education sees a budget cut, it should not be fair that, for example, as a number, that Clifton receives $5 million, but yet we still have to dish out $2.5 to $3.5 million for charter schools, because then we only hurt ourselves. So that was a discussion that we need to have to make sure that, yes, we follow the rules and the money follows the child to where they go outside the district, but yet we do not set our children and our students and our district have them take a seat on the curb and waiting to get more money so this way they can continue doing what they're doing in our district. For number 4, the legislators also recognized that the Clifton was the first of a handful across the state of New Jersey to set up meal pickups for the residents of Clifton with no question asked during this pandemic. And last, written requests were made to legislators as a follow-up. I've attached it for my colleagues on the board to see what those questions and what the letter was. CC'd on it was the superintendent and as well President Lucy Danny. And a meeting request was made to the legislators for a follow-up meeting. Meeting ended at 5:30 p.m. It was prepared by myself, Commissioner Fahim Abdrabba. Any questions?
Mr. Abdrabba, do you want to read the follow-up legislators of the New Jersey 34th District?
The letter itself?
Yes.
Yes, will do. Everybody can bear with me. I already have it up, but it's 2 pages. So dated June 11, 2020. So the summary was earlier this year, it's pretty much the first paragraph, but I'll quickly read through it. Earlier this year, the New Jersey Department of Education informed the Clifton District that it was to receive an increase in state aid of approximately $7.8 million for the 2021 fiscal school year. The district prepared its 2021 budget built on that information. Within the last 2 weeks, the Clifton School District was informed by NJDOE that due to state revenue shortfalls, that would cut that amount of 5.3 of what is anticipated. We have no guidance from the New Jersey NJDOE if this is the final number. When a revised budget was submitted, are we able to adjust that tax levy? Can we use our fund balance account? Can we use any of our anticipated surplus from our 1920 budget in the 2021 budget? Can we use funds in our capital and maintenance funds for operational needs? Also, the NJDOE has not even given us guidance on a date certain when guidance would be forthcoming. If we start 2021 fiscal year without any approved budget, does the district have to completely shut down, since under current law, we cannot expend funds without an approved budget? We have 14 business days before that situation comes into play. 14 days is insufficient time to revise, submit, and obtain approval for a budget as large and complex as the Clifton School District. Under the umbrella of everyone's needs to share the pain, the NJDOE should permit the Clifton School District to reduce the increase for charter schools, count vocational tech and out-of-district special ed services on a pro rata basis at 68%, while maintaining service levels to Clifton residents. The Clifton School District 2021 line item for increase for charter schools is $1,011,647, and for the VOTEC is $385,995. The Clifton taxpayers, no other students in the Clifton School District should be obligated to that additional burden to fill the extraordinary gap under these difficult circumstances. So the action items and inquiries that we've asked and we're hoping to follow up and give some questions and answers are 7 points. 1, is there any timeline as to when school districts will be able to resubmit the budget to reflect the revised state aid? 2, will excess surplus be allowable from the 1920 fiscal year? 3, will the districts be able to revise the tax levy by the next quarter? 4, will reserve accounts be allowable to balance the budget, i.e. capital reserves and other avenues? 5, can our state legislators advocate for special needs to be taken out first from the state budget prior to evenly distributed among all schools in New Jersey before calculations, or providing the special needs schools their own line to the state to help with budget forecasting for unplanned expenses? What that means is, so if Clifton was to be given, for example, $5 million, and again, these are all just numbers I'm throwing out right now as I'm speaking to you, and let's say, special needs and education population has an X amount of dollars. Instead of taking that X amount of dollars with the funding be distributed to Clifton, take that out either as a budget line item, or say, Clifton, you'll be receiving X amount for general population and X amount for special education. This way, we don't have to try to figure out, all right, well, where do we go, general or special ed? Because at this time, they are both equally important. There's not one that's more important than the other. There's not one student more important than the other. So we want to make sure that they understand that. And it's not just for Clifton, but it's set across the state of New Jersey. Things have to change with education state of New Jersey. And that's honestly not just giving a treasure box to a district and say, here you go, you guys figure it out. But they need to see what we see the equal value of each student in our district. 6, since the state budget will be on the legislature floor in September, can we wait until after that time to decide to go to the bank cap or not? And then last, since the purpose of funds from the CARES Act is to help school districts in facilitating the new normal standards of learning, and Clifton will use it to further fund our one-to-one for a flipped classroom model, will there be other state of New Jersey technology-based relief or other relief that can be used for schools like for counseling, staff changes to accommodate smaller classrooms, and providing family foods? So those are the 7 points. I personally, I'm gonna be honest, I'm proud of our committee. I'm really, from Joe to Judy to Jim and myself, I think we cover all our bases, from special ed to technology to everything you could think of, budgets, etc. So we had a very fruitful conversation with our legislators, and I'll let my other committee members, our colleagues on the committee, speak for themselves. But for myself, I think this is probably the most fruitful meeting we've had with them in a very long time. A lot was discussed, a lot was talked about in these points, and we definitely will follow up with them. and they were very receptive to Clifton, and they did nod their head, tip their hat to Clifton in many different aspects and avenues. So we're growing, and they got they get more chances every single time to speak to a phenomenal superintendent, who as well also adds some flavor to the conversation. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
Or
Mr.
Madam President.
Algaravo. Thank you. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? Okay, seeing none, next is education minutes.
Okay. The Education Committee meeting minutes are from June 9th, 2020. The Education Committee meeting began at 5:30 p.m. Attendants were myself, Board Vice President, Ms. Judith Spafford, and Board members Joe Canova and Fahim Abadravo. Administrators in attendance were Dr. Danny Robertozzi, Mr. Mark Tejan, Ms. Janina Kusalevich, Ms. Heather Rotolo, Ms. Megan Fitzpatrick, and Ms. Linda Chavez. Number 1, distant learning update for Mrs. Kusalevich. Ms. Kusalevich gave an update regarding the closing of the school year. She reviewed phase 3 of distant learning, where processes and procedures put in place from phase 2 would continue with increased Google Meets for students. Grades 6 through 12 would continue to follow a modified alternating day period schedule that is posted on the website and had been shared with families. End of year grading for grades 1 to 5 will follow a modified pass-fail grading model using the existing report card codes of P for proficient and N needs improvement. Preschool, kindergarten, and 6th through 12th grades continue using the same grading model as used during live instruction, with greater emphasis placed on participation in lesson and completion of work. Plans have been made to strengthen distance learning should we need to transition off-site again in 2020 to 2021. Moving forward, all students in grades 3 through 12 will have access to a Chromebook. Each teacher will have an individual Google Classroom, and daily Google Meets will be required. Action informational. End of year update from Dr. Robertozzi. Dr. Robertozzi reviewed end of year plans. A notification was being sent to the community regarding dates and procedures for the return of district textbooks, library books, and musical instruments, while also returning student belongings left in the schools at the time of school closure. Grade levels will be assigned specific dates for pickup and drop-off at each school. Additional dates will be made available for parents who cannot come on the date assigned. End of year ceremonies will be as follows. Preschool and kindergarten students will have individual Google Meets and certificates by class as their moving up ceremony. Grade 5 and 8 will have a virtual keepsake moving up ceremony broadcast on June 19th. For high school seniors, a virtual graduation is being planned using a service provider to create a keepsake for all graduates. Students will have the full ceremonial speeches, a brief bio, and all of their honors included. This will be broadcast on June 19th as well. On June 16th and 18th, all seniors will come to the stadium as assigned at assigned times, dressed in cap and gown for a personalized photo presentation on the graduation stage. This is being done in addition to plans for a possible in-person ceremony at a later date at the governor's phase 2 guidance is released. Action informational. Summer update from Mrs. Kusalevich. Mrs. Kusalevich updated the committee on summer programs. The 21st Century Minds in Motion and the ESY Extended School Year program will be virtual this year. Eligible students are being notified. Northern Regional Commission and EduSeer will continue to be the paid option for credit recovery in grades 6 through 12. Both will also be virtual programs. Summer assignments for students have been streamlined so that no books need to be purchased. Summer work for general ed students, general ed courses will continue to count as extra credit in grades kindergarten through 8th. High school general course will receive extra credit grades depending on the content area. AP and honors courses will grant quiz or test grades depending on the content area. Action informational. Reopening committee update from Dr. Robert Tosi. Dr. Robert Tosi discussed committees created to address the safe reopening of schools. A comprehensive high school committee has been meeting and a district-wide stakeholder committee has been created. Dr. Robert Tosi summarized some of the most recent guidance regarding phase 2 of Governor Murphy's reopening plans. Working with released guidance, the district continues to implement enhanced cleaning practices, social distancing, and health recommendations. Orders for health-related supplies are forthcoming. Committee work continues as more info is released by the governor's office. Action informational. The meeting adjourned at 6:30 p.m. Respectfully submitted, Mrs. Janina Kusalevich. Are there any questions?
Seeing none, next is Facilities Committee, June 16th.
Mr. Pacenti's the chair of that. He's not here.
Yeah,
Would Mr. Canova or Mr. Smith, someone that was at the meeting, please read those minutes?
Sure, I can read them. Clifton Board of Education Facilities Committee meetings, June 16th, 2020 minutes. Board members present, Jim Daly, Jim Smith, Dana Beltran, myself. Administration present, Dr. Robert Tosi, Mr. Tejan, Ms. Kusalevich, Mr. Uchi, and Mr. Tomeskovich. Meeting time was 3 to 4:20. Items of discussion, number 1, the stadium locker room ventilation. Item A, concerns from the CHS Football Booster Club. Mr. Marchione will be fielding quotes to address the heating and ventilation of the locker rooms at the stadium for the committee to review. This is a smaller job to address the health concerns for our student athletes and staff prior to future referendum to renovate the space. The goal is to finish this project mid-August before the sports season starts. Painting will be added to the district-wide painting initiative, and new lockers will be phased in if funds become available. Item 2, Baseball Booster Club. The Baseball Booster Club is requesting to use the WWMS baseball fields for practice and games this summer, which happens every summer. Per Governor Murphy, baseball games are now allowed if following all of the state pandemic guidelines and protocols. Dr. Robert Tosi asked administration to attach guidelines to the permit before issuance. Item 3, capital projects 20 to 21. Item A, School 15 roof replacement. The equipment and material has been ordered by the contractor and the project will start on June 22nd. Item B, School 17 BMS. The equipment and material has been ordered by the contractor and the project will start as soon as possible. Number 4, air sampling. There was a brief discussion of the district's responsibility to be in compliance with AHIRA and test air sampling as needed. Item 5, athletics update. The committee recommended that the athletic director and the next facilities committee meeting to give a status update on all athletics and the plans for fall. Item 6, live board meetings. There was a brief discussion on where live board meetings should be held as the state is going to further stages of the governor's reopening plan. The administration building boardroom has limited space to distance. The best option would most likely be the Clifton High School auditorium. The committee would like this to be discussed with the full board at the June 18th meeting.
Does anyone have any questions?
Would this be the time to discuss at the June 18th meeting, or are we going to do this under a new business?
I guess that would be Miss Danny's call, if now or new business, either way.
Why don't we just do it? Is it okay, Mr. Abudrabo, under new business?
God, of course it is.
Someone just has to remember.
I'm writing it down as we speak.
All right, if you want, okay, so you'll.
It's written down.
Okay. Does anyone have any other questions? So Residency Committee, I don't see Ms. Beltram here. I know that she is, so I don't know who would
Yeah, I can
like
read
to
that too.
read
It's
it.
fine.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Canova.
Residency committee meeting minutes, June 6th, 17th, 3 p.m. Via Google Meets. Item 1, present at the June 17th, 2020 Residency committee meetings were Dana Beltran, Joe Canova, Frank Casper, Jim Smith, Dr. Danny Robertozzi, Mark Tejan, Mark Gengaro, Nancy Foster, and Vincent Constantino. Item 2, the residency registration team provided the committee with a 3-year comparison chart of the 17-18, 18-19, and 19-20 school years specific to A, the number of students investigated, B, the number of residents found, C, the number of non-residents found, D, the number of bounties collected. Please note, due to the spread of the COVID-19 virus and the closing of schools, the information provided to the committee for the 19-20 school year reflected data from July 1st, 19 to February 29th, 2020. Item 3, Mark Gengaro provided the residency committee with the detailed information specific to the development and implementation of the remote registration process. Item A, while keeping the safety and security of families and staff alike at the forefront, the district recognized the need to develop a method for families, students to register for school. 1, new family students moving into the district. 2, special education cases. 3, family students returning from vacation. 4, filling seats in the Clifton Early Learning Academy program. 5, incoming kindergarten students. B, please be advised that this remote online registration process is applicable only for the current at-home distance learning program. During this remote online registration process, the district is waiving the requisite documentation needed for new students to be enrolled in the Clifton Public Schools. However, please note that when the district reopens, students will not be eligible to attend school until all of the necessary documentation is received. As such, at that time when schools reopen, you will need to provide all other required documentation. C, instruction information for the online application processes are available to family students on the district webpage. D, over 175 family students have benefited from the remote registration process. Item 4, Mark Gengaro provided the residency committee with the detailed information specific to development and implementation of the remote transfer process. The district also recognizes the need to develop a method for family students to exit our district. The remote transfer process was the result of a collaboration effort among central administration, the residency registration team, and the Clifton Association and educational secretaries. C, instructions, information for the remote transfer process are available for families and students on the district webpage. Item 5, Mark Gengaro provided the residency committee with a detailed information specific to how the district will be utilizing real-time the district's SIS student information system as a part of the registration process. The committee recognized the efforts of Sharon Emilio, supervisor of the informational technology, who has played an intricate role in the development of this process. Item 6, questions and comments. Board of Education commissioners requested that the residency registration team provide information specific to A, the potential for using IRS documentation as a proof of residency for the registration process. B, determining the theoretical versus actual savings for the district based upon non-resident students and families who have found it.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, just for administration, Danny, we were supposed to get an updated of the chart that the numbers were not jiving. Do you know if we got that?
I did not receive that yet. I will follow up and make sure we have it by tomorrow, Mr. Smith.
Okay, thank you.
You got it.
I have a question, and I'm sorry if maybe I didn't hear it, but is there a report on if there were any residents issued during COVID-19 in terms of reaching out to students? Obviously, we can find out in some aspects if a student wasn't being responsive to whether mailers or home visits or school homework. Was there anything to that extent?
We believe that throughout, from what we were told during the pandemic, right, that there were no investigated cases.
That's correct. There were no residency investigations. However, we did pay visits to students' houses if teachers couldn't get in contact with them or if they didn't show up to Google Meets, just to make sure our students were safe and to make sure they had what they needed. So we did make some home visits for that purpose, but not for residency investigations.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, next is Finance Committee. Mr. Smith, you're muted.
Yeah, but I think that's Mr. Daly.
Mr. Daly.
Mr. Daly.
There you go.
I'm sorry. I'm
Okay,
looking at
I'm
Mr.
good.
Daly and I said Mr. Smith, sorry.
Okay, Clifton
Oh.
Board of Education Finance Committee meeting, June 16th, 2020, minutes. Board members present was Mr. Smith, Mr. Beltran, Mr. Canova, and myself. Administrators present was Dr. Robertozzi, Mark Tejan, Janina Kusalevich, Mr. Yusi, and Mr. Tomasevich. Meeting started at 4:20 p.m. and ended at 5:25. Items of discussion. Number one was the obligating of year-end fund, year-end surplus for June 2020. Mr. Yusi presented the potential surplus of June 30th, 2020. The recommendation was to, number one, replenish the unassigned fund balance to the 2% maximum allowed, which was used to balance the 2021 budget. Number two, designate its general fund excess surplus as of June 30th, 2020, at an amount not to exceed $1.8 million to be used for the 21-22 budget as relief for if state aid is not restored. Number three, designate an amount not to exceed the amount of $750,000 to the maintenance reserve account, which will replenish an aid to the amount used in the 2021 budget. And four, designate any remaining excess surplus to the capital reserve account. Number two, revised state aid. No update from the Department of Education. The administration is awaiting guidance from the Department of Education on how to revise our budget pending state aid cuts. The 2021 budget was built on receiving a full amount of the state aid. The administration and finance committee have different plans and options in mind, but we cannot amend anything until we receive guidance from the Department of Education. A letter will be drafted and sent to the City of Clifton and the Commissioner of Education regarding state aid cuts and potential changes to the tax levy, pending guidance and potential further state cuts. Number three, aid in lieu, June 2020. Aid in lieu of transportation is a payment made to the parents per student who attend non-public schools. In short, if parents transport their own students to the non-public schools, they will receive aid in lieu. After consulting with legal counsel or professional associations, the June payment has been prorated back to March 16th when school closures were mandated by the governor. Number four, PCTI billing 2021. PCTI's tuition will be reduced from $11,614 per student to $11,346 per student for the 2021 school year for the first time since 2012-2013. Number five, Food Service Management Company 2021. A National School Lunch Program was discussed, Child and Adult Care Food Program, and Summer Food Service Program Emergency Feeding. Mr. Yusi explained that the district had to RFP our food service management company this year because the U.S. Department of Agriculture required all three food programs to be compiled in the same contract, excuse me. The district received two RFPs from Pontonian and Sodexo. Administration recommended Pontonian not only because they are doing a phenomenal job, but their management fee is almost $200,000 less than Sodexo with lower expenses. Even though Pontonian had lower expenses, they charge less of a management fee, which is distributed to the quality of food provided. Emergency feeding will continue at School 17 CMS. and CHS after June 19th, the last day of school, and provided all summer long. Number 6, price equity for school lunch breakfast. Personal costs are rising because of staggered minimum wage increases in New Jersey. To maintain the current surplus in the cafeteria fund, the district would need to raise the paid lunch prices by 39 cents. Administration is recommending raising the paid lunch service by 20 cents. The committee concurred. So number 7, purchases through state contracts and cooperative pricing for 2019-20, excess of the bid threshold. The resolution shows that purchases utilizing a state contract, cooperative, or competitive contracting in excess of $29,000. All purchases went to various committees with budgeted funds in 1920. For audit compliances purposes, this resolution will be put on the June 18, 2020 agenda. Number 8, cancellation of all checks prior to June 1st, 2019. Mr. Yusti explained the canceling of old checks was an audit recommendation, and he will be ensuring that this happens on an annual basis. Old vendor checks will be canceled, employee reimbursement checks will be reissued, and payroll checks will be reissued, researched and reissued or canceled on the basis of the age of the check and access to reach out to the employee. And that concludes my notes. Anybody have any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Okay, the next order of business is public recognition. This portion of the meeting is open to any individuals for the purpose of addressing resolutions on this agenda only. So speaking about items on this agenda only. Residents are requested to provide their names, addresses, and subject matter. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. There will be a timer going for 3 minutes. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. So again, you will have 3 minutes and it's on items on this agenda. There will be later a second public recognition for items not on the agenda.
Okay, so this is the first time we're doing this, so bear with us if there's any issues. I'm seeing 13 people in the waiting room, and I'm going to be calling on them one at a time based on the name that they've programmed or plugged into the Zoom meeting. First up, we have Catherine Miller. Catherine, if you can hear me, you have 3 minutes. Catherine, you're muted. If you take yourself off of mute, you have 3 minutes to speak. Go ahead, Catherine.
Oh. Yes. Okay. Good evening. My name is Catherine Miller, and I'm a 7th grade inclusion teacher at CCMS. I would like to give a big shout out to my students, their parents. I did. Am I on mute? I'm still on mute?
No, we could hear you. It's just that you seem a little distant. maybe get closer to the mic or,
Okay.
thank
Okay,
you.
my name is Catherine Miller, and I'm a 7th grade inclusion teacher at Christopher Columbus Middle School. I would like to give a big shout out to my students, their parents, my fellow staff members, the secretaries, custodians, food service people, and administration at CCMS for really stepping up in a very difficult situation and making the best of what none of us could have foreseen happening in September. We asked a lot of our students and their parents.
Mr. Mountain, are you just
Does
going
that
to have,
conclude?
Ms. Miller, are you done with your,
I believe there's a significant delay from the live stream. If you could just listen to us speaking on the Zoom conference, that would be better.
Okay. We asked a lot of our students and their parents. As teachers, we gave support through Google Classroom, class chats, and emails, but we know those things certainly couldn't replace the critical learning. We did persevere, and I believe we came out stronger. I saw different sides of my students during this time, and I have to say I'm very impressed. They took everything in stride and did what I asked them to do. They worked hard, kept their sense of humor, and really just did the work. That is a testament to their parents. I also am happy to say that I had more positive interactions during virtual learning with parents, and they need to be acknowledged also as one reason why we were able to make virtual learning work. Yes, there were problems and issues with virtual learning, and hopefully they will be ironed out if it is needed in the future. But I am proud of the way my students and their families on Team Orange Chunk and Carcass really showed their Clifton strength and did not let the coronavirus stop them from learning. And I wanted them to be acknowledged. Thank you and good night, and I'm sorry about the technical difficulties.
No problem. You're the first ever, so good job. Next up, we have Michelle Walsh.
Danny, I see your lips moving. You're not talking. You're on mute.
Michelle, you are now connected and you have 3 minutes. Michelle Walsh.
Mr. Mountain, if we could just remind everyone that once they enter the Zoom meeting, they should turn down the volume on the live stream because there is a 20 to 30-second delay. So if you're watching, please, when you come into the room, turn down the volume on the live stream so that you can immediately begin speaking for your public comment. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. I've been back channeling, texting them. I believe Michelle has left. So next up, we have Jane Crane. You have 3 minutes. Hi, Jane. You're connected now. You have 3 minutes. And while we're waiting, just to reiterate, if you're waiting in the waiting room, please turn off the live stream and just listen to the actual Zoom meeting. Jane, I'm sorry, we can't.
Yeah, I think she's muted.
We can't hear you, Jane, so I'm going to put you back in the waiting room. Okay, next up we have Jean Bonzi. You have 3 minutes, Jean. You're muted right now.
My name is Jean Bonsi, and I am a 6th and 7th grade language arts and social studies teacher at Christopher Columbus Middle School. Initially, distance learning had its challenges, but as a team, the students, parents, and my fellow teachers and administrators adjusted quickly. My students never complained. We met on our Google Meets, discussed, and problem solved together. We really felt like a team and navigated the glitches as a group. I cannot say enough about my students and their parents' resilience and support. For me, it was wonderful how many of my students embraced our meets, phone calls, and emails, and thrived during this unique educational time. I would like to let my students and their parents know how proud they should be of themselves, and it will only get better if need be during the upcoming school year. Thank you. I'm not sure if you got that.
Nope. Thank you. That was perfect. Next up, we have Stephanie Langer. Stephanie, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I am just here to forward along a little bit of gratitude from my students. So I have a personal interest in yoga and mindfulness. And last year, Professor in Resident Jean Modig from William Patterson, that works with us at Christopher Columbus, collaborated together. We did some professional development on how to use some yoga for classroom cards that I was able to then implement in the classroom during stations and Mindful Mondays. And Mrs. Gaba even allowed me to start running a mindfulness study class. And I just got an email from one of my students from last year, and he said that he just wanted to say thank you for everything in 8th grade, and all of the yoga made him feel better. And I really wanted to be able to share that praise with those people that helped make that happen. And as we transitioned into distance learning, I thought it was really important to continue on that path with my students. So over the last few months, every Monday, one of the things that I put out for them was a Mindful Monday task. And I got feedback ranging from it felt good to stretch to one day we tried some laughter yoga and they thought that was pretty funny and great. And I got some little expressions of gratitude and thanks. Like one email said, "Thank you for the meditation. I was waiting for you to post it." And I really think this highlights the value in the social and emotional learning that I'm seeing be pushed in the district more recently. And I wanted to say that I really appreciate that. And I think that's fantastic. And there's no doubt in my mind that with the continued pursuit of mindfulness and the professional development that you've been helping push forward in the district is going to continue to benefit them for a very long time. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just as a procedural update, I'm going to admit a few people at a time just to expedite the transition. So once you're admitted to the meeting, please listen to the audio from the Zoom and not the live stream. Next up, we have Dana Howard.
Hi, good evening. I'm Dana Howard, the president of School 15. This is kind of twofold. I just want to say thank you. We are very excited that our new roof is going to start coming in on Monday. I know this is something that we've worked for and we've advocated for, so we totally appreciate that it was already in the budget and that it's something that we can look forward to coming back, hopefully in September. I also want to talk as a parent that I felt like Clifton did a really nice job with our district learning. I felt like my kids, I have an older one in the 6th grade on the Andreessen team. And of course I have 2 at School 15, that I feel like that those teachers that we had really embraced it and really helped the transition and worked really nicely with my kids. They worked really nicely with us. They answered any questions we had, any concerns we had. And I felt like they were real cheerleaders for our students. So I just wanted to say, I thought Clifton did a really nice job with being able to roll this out as quickly as that we needed to roll it out. So that's it. Thanks. And have a great summer.
Thanks, Ms. Howard.
Thank you. So next, all I see is Keenan. I'm guessing that's Mary Keenan.
It is Mary Keenan. Sorry, I share the, with a few kids. So good evening. My name is Mary Keenan, and I have been teaching social studies for the past 19 years at Christopher Columbus. As a parent of 3, I know how difficult online learning has been for both the parents and the students. And I just want to commend the parents and our students for doing such a great job. I am speaking tonight to highlight some of the best parts of distant learning. I work with amazing teachers, staff, students and administration, and parents at CCMS. My 6th grade team, Manning, had a lot of success during online learning. We had our science teacher, Miss Foley, and Miss Phillips did a special little prize for students who participated each week. We did a wheel spin. We conducted a virtual, they did a virtual talent show, and our team participated in a glow stick dance challenge, and that was a really neat thing to see. Our math teachers, Teresa Manning, Ariana Bauer, and Wendy Geronimo, they met weekly on Google Meets with their students, as well as had 2 additional tutoring sessions for anyone that needed help. Our language arts teachers, Nicole Bizen and Trish Conway, had wonderful projects for the students. And they also had daily meets with their students as well. For social studies, Michelangelo and myself, who are the social studies teachers, we had weekly Google Meets with our students, and we also had daily streams where we had a question of the day to continue to interact with our students. Today, we had an award ceremony, virtual, of course, for our 6th grade students, where we awarded them for character traits as well as academic success. We had a slideshow presentation and another fun wheel giveaway. And I just wanted to commend all of the hardworking parents and students during this difficult time. We've had a lot of great success, and I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has helped make it a good time. Thank you.
Okay, next, Abby Cooper, you are in. You're currently off camera and muted. So if you unmute, you have 3 minutes. Okay, we'll move on to someone else. I apologize, I don't have a name. All I can see is OKSSGY.
Is that Jeff Labriola?
Yes, it is. It's Mr. Labriola.
Jeff, you're muted. Thought I recognized that haircut. Jeff, it's your turn to speak, but you're muted on your end.
It looks like Diana's ready to go. So Jeff, hold tight. Maybe Diana can speak.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that there was another name connected to the Zoom. My daughter was using it earlier.
No problem.
Class. I apologize. Sorry. Good evening. Oh, just let me know when I'm ready to roll. Sorry.
You're ready to go.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Dr. Robertozzi and Clifton Board of Education members. My name is Diana Ruiz Minicello. I am a teacher at Christopher Columbus Middle School. I've been a teacher there for 17 years. During this trying time for the world, the teachers, staff, and students band together to continue the educational process in a very short amount of time. Although virtual learning cannot replace the traditional classroom setting, we as Clifton Strong came together to arise to the occasion and to tackle this new educational world. Virtual learning provided the teachers and their students to still stay connected. As an educator, it allowed me to meet, although virtually, parents, students, some of the students' siblings, and of course, my students. I was afforded the ability to make connections with some of my students that I normally don't get during the class day. I would like to thank the Clifton community for their continued support of the Clifton Public Schools, their students, their teachers, and their parents. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Labriola, if you can hear us, it's your turn and you're still muted.
Good evening. Yes, thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Mr. Labriola. I'm a teacher at Christopher Columbus Middle School. I wanted to invite the Board of Education, the administration, and the Clifton community to view the National Junior Art Honor Society slideshow on the CCMS web. Normally, the Art Honor Society is a ceremony held in Clifton in conjunction with an art gallery featuring the students' artwork in the school's main foyer. My colleague and co-sponsor of the National Junior Art Honor Society, Dorothy Ludo, and I are incredibly proud of our students. Much of the artwork you will view was done during remote learning time. The talented students worked under our guidance and completely impressed us with their talent and dedication, all for their love of art. You will see a variety of artwork, drawings, paintings, and pen and ink illustrations. Also, to support our students during this challenging time, artists from the real world who had worked with our students this school year and last school year participated in the presentation by offering words of encouragement and support. Also, Dr. Robertozzi sent a thoughtful message, which we greatly appreciated. The last few weeks were new to all of us. My art colleagues, Dorothy Ludo and Donna Minervini, challenged our students to use this time as a period for great creativity. Many students used art to bring them happiness and some peace during these unsettling times. The three of us posted artwork on our Instagram site, which is CCMS Art Teachers. You could view and appreciate the talents of our students. We thank them and we're so proud of them, their parents, and the community of Clifton for helping us through this difficult time and persevering victoriously. Congratulations to all the high school graduates. Tomorrow, especially our CCMS alumni. Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, next up we have Jean Bonzi. Jean, if you can hear us, you have 3 minutes.
Eric, she was already on. She was the number 4th speaker, I think.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I apologize if it's Rosie or Rossi Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, you're next. If you have 3 minutes. Ms. Gonzalez, if you can hear us, it's your turn to speak. Okay, she just left, and I am seeing no one else in the waiting room, so everyone has just left.
Seeing none, motion to close.
Second.
Motion was by Mr.
I apologize. There's one still connecting.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of stalled out here.
Okay.
I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. Aileen, A-L-E-I-N. It's showing that you're connecting to audio, so you're next, but I'm not sure it's quite live yet.
There, it should be good.
You should be good now. You should be good now. Aileen, if you can hear me, it's your turn to speak.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. This is the first time I'm a parent at school too, of 2 fantastic children with fantastic staff. This is the first time, so I don't know if I'm supposed to make a comment or ask a question. I do have a question to you guys regarding If we were to continue with remote schooling next September, from a trauma-informed and a bonding perspective for children and their existing teachers, forming new bonding and new connection with a new teacher remotely, I can see it being a challenge for our children. I'm a trauma-informed therapist myself, and I'm a therapist with children. And to me, it's a concern in terms of the bond. What helped my kids to move forward with the remote learning was the bond that they have already formed with their teachers that allow them to continue, have that motivation to do better, to increase their performance and really push themselves when they were really, really challenged. Because they wanted to whether make their teachers proud of them or really have that image that the idealization that they had for their teacher, that they wanted them to succeed. So the question is, if we were to move into a second year or the next semester, the first half of the year, for remote learning still being in that space, what are some of the approaches in terms of, or what are the thoughts of the district in terms of how to promote that emotional social learning and the connection that they have or they should be forming with their teachers, the new teachers, if they would be assigned new teachers next year? I don't know if my question is clear. I'm so sorry. I just thought about it and I thought I will jump in for the first time. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Madam Chair, if it's okay with you, I'll
Yes.
address it.
Yes.
Ms. Aileen, thank you so much for joining us tonight and bringing up something I think is extremely important. That bond that you develop with a teacher, especially during the first few weeks of school, is going to be very difficult to do if we are remote in September. Now, the truth is, I really believe that we will be back in September in some form or fashion. Now, obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. I can't predict the future, but I do believe that we will be back in person. But I'd also, I'd like to say that if we are not, we do have some ideas and we have some plans in place to address the issues that you've brought up. And without putting her on the spot, but I'll put her on the spot, if I could ask our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum, Janina Kusalevich, to talk about some of the ideas that we've talked about, and also know that this is an ongoing discussion. We'll be planning all summer. So, based on what you've brought up, we'll continue to try to come up with some other ideas. So, Janina, if you could.
Sure, Dr. Robertosi, thank you. We are looking at multiple options. There are a number of committees, Dr. Robertosi's larger committee, but also smaller groups of educators who've been working on looking at the guidance that's going on in other states. We have other countries to look towards as well. So as we're making our plans, we are really focusing on the social emotional learning and social emotional well-being of our students. Dr. Robertosi in his presentation shared with you that we are going to be doing a trauma-informed training for all of our counselors, but we're actually offering the full trauma-informed training course to all of our teachers who may be interested in taking that course this summer to help them have more tools for this coming school year. That being said, even if teachers choose not to take the full course, they will still receive training on trauma-informed practices on the first day of school. We are very hopeful that we will be back with some form of normalcy for September. At the same time, we are looking at strengthened distance learning plans, which will be made possible through the one-to-one initiative for grades 3 through 12, so that all the way down to grade 3, our students will have better access to online learning. And one of the things that you mentioned, that bond with the existing teacher, if it looks like we will be starting in September, we will work to the greatest of our ability to have some form of transition if we cannot be in person. But I'm very hopeful that that will not be the case. We would like our students to be able to transition from the person with whom they've been comfortable this year to the new teacher. That being said, while we're looking at ideas like that, we are still very hopeful to be back in some form in person in September.
I hope so too. For the sake of everybody's mental health, right?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have 3 that have just entered. Jane, you'll be first, Ms. Crane, and then Ms. Jagger, and then Ms. Lalama. So Jane, you have 3 minutes.
Sorry.
Something's wrong with her.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ms. Crane. We still can't hear you. I know you're not, it doesn't look like you're muted, but something must be wrong with your microphone. We're going to move to Ms. Jagger. If you want to try again, we'll give you another shot.
Hi, how are you, everyone? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. My name is Erin Jager. I'm the middle school math coach for Clifton Public Schools. So I work with the math teachers at Christopher Columbus and at Woodrow Wilson Middle School. But I also work with a lot of the other teachers in the department at both middle schools. And I just wanted to give a big shout out and thank you to all of our administrators, our teachers, our support staff, the custodians who are at our schools cleaning them out, people that are doing drop off, pickup, parents, students. You've been doing incredibly hard work beyond the hours of a teacher that we could have ever imagined. I know our parents and teachers and students are working, at night, emailing back and forth, trying to make sure their Zoom connects, kids that are having trouble log in. It's amazing just to see how we really come together as a Clifton community and, done an amazing job. So thank you to everyone that's, really taken on this challenge. And honestly, we've overcome so many things. I can't believe where we were in March when we went out to now where we can just jump on a Zoom meeting and, share our thoughts. So thank you to everybody. Thank you, the Board of Education and everyone that's here tonight. And, great job. So that was all I have to say.
Thanks, Erin.
And last but not least, we have Ms. Lalama.
All right. Good evening to all. How's everybody tonight?
Good, Laura. Good to see you.
Awesome. I just want to say that my name is Lori Lalama and I'm the president of the Clifton Education Association. And I want to thank Dr. Robertozzi, Mark Tesian, Janina Kushalevitz, and each commissioner on the Board of Ed. Because if it wasn't for your work that you've been doing, overcoming all of your things that you have to deal with, we've had to adapt and make so many changes for the students and the staff and update guidelines that continue to change from the governor, from Dr. Repoulet and the Department of Health daily. We're going 2 steps forward and sometimes 3 steps backwards. I want to thank the parents and the students for their understanding and hard work despite the upheaval in the community and that everyone continues to go through. Moreover, I'm very lucky to represent the teachers and paras here in Clifton. I can't praise the staff enough. Their hard work, dedication, and passion during this year. I'm proud that you rose to this challenge despite your own personal issues. Now, what I would like to do is Fahim and Joe Canova. Now, you're on the LAT, and I'm the LAT chair and involved with the NJEA. What I would like to see if there was a possibility that we could work together with the reps from 34 and to either write letters. And Joe, you did that petition a few years ago. Could we update that and work together on that? Or you can show me how to set it up and continue that? Because I've had the members send letters to Governor Murphy to ask for the money based on the $400 million that we've lost during the time of Christie, and that how important it is for our school district to obtain that money. So if we could work together on that, I would be more than happy to as the LAT chair. All right. So I hope everybody has a wonderful summer. We all need to relax, put our feet up, and just enjoy our families in other ways this time. Thank you.
Thanks, Lori, you too.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
Okay, I can now confirm that there's no one in the waiting room and no one trying to connect.
Motion to close. See none. Sorry, see none. Motion to close.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Abutravo, second by Mr. Smith. Next order of business is unfinished business. We move to EA 1 through 7. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Motion by Mr. Casper, second by Ms. Basford. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Abudrabo,
Yes.
Ms. Basford,
Yes.
Ms. Beltran,
Yes.
Mr. Canova,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Casper,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Miss Danny.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next order of business is personnel. Numbers 1 through 40. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Abudrabo, second by Mr. Casper. Any questions? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Abudrabo,
Yes, with abstaining on personnel line 9 and line 10.
Miss Basford, I'm sorry, Miss Basford, you're muted.
I'm sorry. I vote yes on everything, and I am abstaining on number, I believe it is. Sorry, I can't see it on my screen. Sorry. It's gone small on me.
Squint your eyes.
Never mind. I'm sorry. It's in finance. Sorry. I'm good. Yes on everything. Sorry.
Nope, it's all good. Miss Beltran,
Yes.
Mr. Canova,
Yes.
Mr. Daly,
Yes.
Mr. Casper,
I'm going to vote yes on everything, and I have to abstain on my name in P38.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Miss Danny.
Yes, and abstain to my name only on P38.
Motion carries.
Next, facilities.
Madam Chair,
F1.
Ms.
Yes.
Danny, Madam Chair, at this time, if we may, can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, okay.
Thank you. Now that the appointments are official, we have appointed 3 principals tonight, and as is our tradition here in Clifton, these administrators would like to introduce themselves and say a few remarks to the board. So if we begin with Marissa Papamarcos. Marissa, if you could turn on your camera and your microphone. Marissa, many of you know, has been the vice principal at SELA. And with Dr. Torley's retirement as the principal, it's my recommendation that Marissa be promoted to principal. And I couldn't think of a better leader for our early childhood program. So congratulations, Marissa.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Dr. Robertozzi, Mr. Tejan, Ms. Kusalevich, and the Board of Education Commissioners. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for appointing me as principal of Clifton Early Learner Academy. I am passionate about our high-quality, inclusive preschool program, and am grateful to be able to continue the tremendous work that we do with our youngest learners, their families, our staff, and our district. I'm enthusiastic about strengthening the partnerships we have already created across the state with Head Start and our private providers, and forging strong collaborative relationships between our school community and the entire city of Clifton. Your continued support and dedication is truly appreciated. Have a safe, healthy, and relaxing summer, and I look forward to seeing you in September. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marissa. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Ron Estricht. Dr. Estricht was recommended by me to be the new acting principal at school number 11. Dr. Estricht, if you're still there, if you could turn your camera on and turn your microphone on. Dr. Estricht happens to be a Clifton resident with a child who attends school 5. Comes with us with a variety of experience, and I'm really happy to have him joining our team in an acting capacity because one of our principals is on a medical leave. But we are excited to have him join our team. Dr. Estricht, welcome.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Robertozzi, and thank you to the board members of the City of Clifton. I am honored and humbled to accept this appointment as an acting principal here in the Clifton Public Schools. I am experienced, as Dr. Robertozzi said. I look forward to working with the staff, students, parents at School 11, and hopefully we will move that school forward as well as the district. Once again, I am humbled and ecstatic to accept this appointment tonight. I hope everyone and families are safe and healthy. And again, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Estricht. Welcome to the team.
Thank you again.
And our third principal appointment tonight is Mrs. Wendy Munoz. Wendy, if you're still there, if you could turn your camera on and your microphone. Wendy also comes to us with a variety of experience as a principal. And she will be taking over as the new principal of school number 8 for Miss Slatzoni, who's retiring. Wendy, welcome to the team.
Hello, everyone. Thank you. Thank you again. My name is Wendy Munoz, and I am beyond excited to be part of Clifton Public Schools. I would like to start by thanking the board for this opportunity. And again, I'm very excited to collaborate with everyone to ensure that we continue to sustain the learning that we have done this past years during these unprecedented times, and that we continue to meet district standards as well as parents' expectations for educational excellence. Thank you again for bringing me on board, and I look forward to meeting all of you in person. Thank you.
Thanks, Wendy. Welcome to the team and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Robertozzi, and congratulations to all. Next is Finance and Facilities. Can I have a motion for F1 through F?
So moved.
F51. Motion by Mr. Abudrabo,
Second.
second by Mr. Casper. Questions, concerns? Seeing none, roll call.
Can we just ask those who are not speaking to mute? We're hearing some background noise.
Mr. Abudrabo.
Can we just remove them, period? Looks like. There we go.
It looks like it's just us now. Okay.
Yes on all except no on finance line 8.
Ms. Bassford.
Yes to all and no on number 8.
Ms. Beltran.
Yes.
Mr. Canova.
Yes, and abstain on check 105731.
Mr. Daly.
Yes.
Mr. Casper.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Danny.
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Okay. Next order of business is public recognition. This portion of the meeting is open to the individuals for the purpose of addressing any subject matter pertinent to and/or directly related to the operation of the Clifton Public School District. Residents are requested to sign the register provided for the purpose and to state their names, addresses, and subject matter. Comments are limited to 5 minutes per person. Issues raised by members of the public may or may not be responded to by the board. All comments will be considered and a response will be forthcoming if and when appropriate. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when speaking. Specifically, comments regarding students and employees of the board are discouraged and will not be responded to by the board. Students and employees have specific legal rights afforded by the laws of New Jersey. The board bears no responsibility, nor will it be liable for any comments made by members of the public. Members of the public should consider their comments in light of the legal rights of those affected or identified in their comments and be aware that they are legally responsible and liable for their comments. So this is 5 minutes. It will be timed and it's on any subject matter pertinent to or related to the operation of the Clifton Public School District. And at this point, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mountain. Is there anyone here?
Yes, Ms. Danny.
Okay.
I'm admitting them right now. It's a phone caller. I apologize. I don't have a name, but if your number ends in 2798, it is now your turn to speak. And they just signed off. I'm seeing no one else in the waiting room.
Seeing none, motion to close.
No, Madam Chair, I would rather give it a few minutes. Don't forget there is a delay on this signal.
And we have a new person joining us. One moment.
Good call, Ms. Bassett.
Hello.
Hi, I don't have your name, but if your phone number ends in 6967, it's your turn to speak.
Hi, I'm Santiago Garan. I graduated from Clifton High School in 2018, and now I go to Princeton. I'm Princeton class of 2022. And I wanted to bring up a very important issue that, in light of recent events, I feel like it must be brought to light. So, as you guys probably know, Clifton is the 7th most diverse small city in the country, 26th most diverse city overall, and 4th in the nation for linguistic diversity. However, a large majority of our teaching faculty at Clifton High School, when I was there and even now, are mostly white. And representation, especially during these difficult times nationally, are crucial to ensuring that education is comprehensive for the ever-diversifying student body. And there have also been instances of racial insensitivity that have come to light in both from current and former CHS students, and it's very important that Clifton High School becomes an inclusive learning environment for everybody. So that being said, I would love to inquire about the possibility of taking initiatives to make sure that more people of color are applying and retaining their teaching positions at Clifton High School and at other schools throughout the district. These initiatives can include hiring diversity outreach chairs as well as creating diversity committees. So I would love to see that initiative happen in the school district. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have Justin Rivera. You are next to speak.
Hi, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
I have in headphones, so I'm not sure. All right, cool. I'm beyond excited with, before I even start, my name is Justin Rivera. For those that don't know me, I'm a resident of Clifton. I want to start by saying I'm beyond excited with the amount of initiatives that the superintendent has introduced and the appointment of multiple principals who are people of color, which is truly representative of the people and the students in these schools. With that being said, though, I wanted to speak on the lack of diversity amongst the board. Superintendent, you mentioned before that our town's diversity is one of our greatest strengths. Clifton is a beautifully diverse community. 50% of our people are Hispanic, 32% are white, 4% are African American, 7% Asian, 2% people of other races. We're made up of 68% of races that are other than those that pass for white. How can a town that is made up of 68% minorities be represented by a board made up of 90%, give or take, people that pass for white? We need more people of color in seats that can genuinely make a change, so the youth minorities of this up-and-coming generation have a leader that they can relate to, someone that they can resonate with. For a town to be so widely diverse and have a board swept with people that pass for white and only one person of color, I mean, what type of precedent does that set? How can a town be celebrated for how diverse it is and its leadership reflect that ever so slightly? With that being said, you should definitely look forward to seeing my name on the ballot this upcoming election. Being someone that represents the Black community, the Hispanic community, the LGBTQIA community, and the youth as a whole. I feel like someone that can resonate with the majority of this town's people and future generations is what we not only need, but something that's very long overdue. Aside from being representative of so many different backgrounds that I do come from, it would be naive to rely solely on those factors to secure a spot on the board. I have initiatives such as diversifying the faculty at schools, addressing student issues with race in their classrooms, questioning why the funds of Clifton Police are being used to fund 3 cop cars chit-chatting and looking over a group of children picking up garbage at the park when there are children literally sweating bullets off in classrooms due to the lack of air conditioning, with the excuse being funds. And I can personally attest to that because I was once a student at that high school. People of my age, my color, my backgrounds, they have ideas. They have good ideas at that. And for a very long time, their ideas and their voices weren't heard because there wasn't really anyone on the board to amplify them. And I really do hope to change that. So once again, my name is Justin Rivera, and I thank you for hearing me out.
Okay, we have a caller who's just joining us. If your phone number ends in 1861, it is your turn to speak.
Hi, my name is Aaron. I'm a proud resident of Clifton, New Jersey, and I would just like to express my support for the petition that is going around for changing names of middle schools. I personally believe that Woodrow Wilson and Christopher Columbus, frankly, have nothing to do with Clifton, New Jersey. And in fact, they've probably done a lot more harm than good for this town. And we are one of the most diverse cities in the nation. So I would like to express support for changing those names in some capacity or another. And I would like to express my interest in potentially changing those names to something that could inspire the youth of Clifton a lot more than the names of a genocidal maniac and a man who supported segregation. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, I do not see anyone in the waiting room, and I don't see anyone trying to connect.
1, 2, 3. Seeing none, motion to close.
Motion by Mr. Abutrabo,
Second.
second by Mr. Smith. Next order of business is board member comments. And I'm trying to remember who was that had,
Mr. Smith was last time.
I'm sorry?
Mr.
No,
Smith.
I was first last time.
Yeah, he was first last time.
Okay, Mr. Abutrabo.
All right. So I'll start off by Superintendent Robert Tozzi mentioned that direction from the governor's office should be coming the week of 6/23/2020, and then higher ed should be getting theirs the week after. Today I saw something great, and honestly, this week has been great, and I am going to flat out say it. Whoever says otherwise doesn't know what they're talking about. Administrators, teachers, staff throughout CHS, throughout the district came together to really, and the way they say, when a community puts its mind to it, something great happens. And Clifton did something very great today. Not even very, just great in general. For our students thinking outside the box, and you're probably going to say, what the heck are you talking about? Graduation. Graduation, I think, was phenomenal. Morning rather than evening. It took away the mystery of the weather, and God was on our side. Whether you believe it or not, I think I do. So, the weather was great. Our staff was great. Mr. Doctor, phenomenal. As they say, behind every great man's greater woman, Miss Rogers, I tip my hat to you. Phenomenal job. All the vice principals, great job. Mr. Hamda, Miss Conti, everybody outstanding. When they say thank you to the Board of Ed, honestly, I say thank you to our CHS administrators and Superintendent Robertozzi for allowing them to be really thinking outside the box to do what they got to do. And if anybody, I got permission from Sam to do this and say this. If anybody doesn't know yet, the Lawn Sign project is complete again with that same crew getting it done. as well as myself. Mr. Casper and Mr. Smith were there to lend a hand as well. I know others on the colleagues were inundated with work and other stuff to do and personal stuff. So obviously, I know every board member could have been there, would have been there, but lucky me, I'm sitting at home doing nothing. Well, my kids aren't nothing, but they're able to ship them off to my parents for an hour. So anyways, we were able to help out and get it done. One thing I want to mention to really show you the true colors of our staff in our district, there was something everybody in that stadium did. And if anybody was there at the stadium Tuesday and Thursday, students were sent in groups by alpha order. And at one point, the stadium was dead with nobody coming in. But yet there were teachers who were huddled together because there was one student who had some personal issues who was out on the hill crying outside the stadium. No name mentioning, I'm not doing any scenarios, but just bear with me for a little bit. And a handful of teachers went out and consoled the student, and they knew her story. They knew what was her deal. So our teachers are not just, our students are not just numbers. They're not just names. There's a humanistic approach to every student. And I appreciated to what they did because they literally walked in this student into the stadium, walked her up to the stage, and as soon as her name was called, they all cheered. Not one faculty member, staff member, administrator said, you know what? It's one student. I'm going to go walk, grab a slice of pizza. They all stayed. They were all, I even invited to walk away from the stadium and go grab a slice of pizza. I didn't see one person move because they know who the student was. And that's what our students are. And that's who our students are. And listen, they have more patience. Most of our teachers, if not 99.9%, have more patience than I do. That's why I never went to education. But being on the board, I am darn proud of our colleagues, my colleagues on the board. I'm darn proud of our teachers, our staff, our administrators. And this is why I praise our superintendent every single meeting, because it starts from the top. When you show what you show day to day from the top, it trickles down. There's a trickle down effect. So I tip my hat to our whole district. I tip my hat to our superintendent and to our principal. And I'm sorry, I know I just went off topic. I just had to say that because it really is something that everybody needs to hear. And I wish you all could have seen what I saw. Back to the Clifton pipeline, Clifton first, Clifton forward, one Clifton, whatever you want to call it. I have a little ongoing joke saying that, I have a different idea of what should be called, but it's all right. Mr. Canova won the title.
I incorporated both.
Mr. Canova won the title war. Excuse me, I'm not supposed to laugh. Why am I not supposed to laugh? Go away. So, okay. So, yes, bringing our students forward. And another conversation, really, Miss Peters, who is now Miss Schneff, today called me Commissioner Abudrabo. So that's not the Commissioner Abudrabo. And this is going to encompass what the superintendent's supposed to do, is trying to do. And she's like, I said, you'll always be Miss Peters to me, and I'll always be Fahim to you, because at the end of the day, I came back to the district. It's not a paying gig. It's not a paying job, but it's called paying it forward. It's called what you took out of the district to come back to Clifton and pay it forward. And at the end of the day, that's what my thinking is. And superintendent, please tell me if I'm wrong. That's what part of this pipeline process is supposed to be. Many of us are Clifton grads, and we're bringing it back to the district. And that's what it's all about. Diversity, to Santin, to Mr. Rivera, you're right. There is a conversation that has always had to happen in Clifton. Clifton's population is changing. The superintendent has always said it, has never denied it, that there needs to be more diversity within our district. It's something I kind of try to nudge him and remind him, and he goes, you're right, but ease up a little bit because it takes time. I've only been here for a year. And the fact that we started with two principals being appointed tonight, is it the answer? No, but is it a start? Yes. It's not about, taking where some people say the minority is now the majority. No, it's just reflect what the population is in our school districts. It's not about taking over. It's not being, I have more power than you. No, it's just reflect what the population looks like, whether it's an Arab administrator in a major Arab neighborhood, Spanish, Black, Asian, whatever it may be. Mr. Rivera, welcome to the slate of people who are running this year. Let's see what it's supposed to bring. And in July, I wish you the best. And honestly, somebody who's up this year. This is not a campaign speech. I'm just going to say, somebody who's up this year, I welcome you. We need more blood. We need new blood. I'm curious to see what you have and what you're going to run on. Somebody who is, I think if I remember correctly, you mentioned to me in passing one time at a March 2015 grad. Good luck to you, and we'll definitely talk, and I'll see you on the trail down the road. Joe, perhaps we can discuss, sorry, Mr. Canova, perhaps we can discuss what Lori mentioned, Ms. Lalama mentioned in terms of how we can help her getting to legislators. And this is not just to Joe, but it was also to my colleagues, Ms. Bassford, Mr. Daly, as a committee as a whole. It's not just Fahim or just Mr. Canova. It's a committee as a whole. Maybe we can assist her and see how we can do it within our boundaries and guidelines. And Ms. Bassford, I leave that to you to rein us in and make sure we're on check. Other than that, have a great summer. It's been a rough few months. Enjoy it. Parents, you have off as teachers for a little bit. Good luck and Godspeed. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Abutravo. Ms. Beltram?
Okay. I would also like to congratulate all the graduates from kindergarten, kindergarten, fifth grade, middle school, and high school. It is not how we wanted it to be, but we still feel the same pride in your accomplishment, and I hope you do as well. Please have a safe start to summer vacation. I'm sure the parents are glad to have the summer off. Maybe now you guys understand why the teachers get the whole summer off now that you've been teachers. A little bit of a response to the claims that the board isn't diversified and that Clifton doesn't do well to portray our true form. I understand there are a lot of passions over the names of the middle schools and the diversity in Clifton, and is a conversation worth having. However, I am of the opinion that it is for another time. Right now, our resources and energy need to be focused on getting the schools opened if they're going to be open. We are facing a budget shortfall, and we will need to ensure that we're able to operate in a safe environment while keeping our amazing staff employed and student programs running. I am Hispanic. I own a Hispanic supermarket. I employ Arabic, Hispanic, white, black, gay, straight, special needs, you name a group, and we've offered them a job. My father is a brown-skinned, non-white passing Cuban immigrant, and my mother is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed American. They have faced racism as a couple. He has faced racism as a businessman and continues to face racism to this day. So by no means do I demean the value of this conversation. It's just a conversation meant for another time. We are a district that is doing above and beyond what we can to rectify and continue to treat all equally. When it is the right time, I'll be more than happy to entertain the idea of changing the schools, but in my opinion, it should be changed to no person's name. History does not look fondly onto anybody, but to either a number, 1 or 2, or east or west. I am proud to have heard from so many people tonight, other young people as myself, and I really hope to continue. Our board is very diverse. I am Cuban, Fahim is Palestinian. And in recent times, we had a long-standing African-American man on our board, and he did run again this past year, and I hope that we can continue to add to the diversity of our board, as well as we had another Hispanic woman. I am the very first Cuban-American ever elected in Passaic County, and I'm proud to say that the people of Clifton elected me. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Beltram. Mr. Canova?
All right, so first and foremost, I want to congratulate our kindergartners, our fifth grade, and obviously our class of 2020. You know, it was a long haul here. It was definitely a change of the status quo, but you did it. You did it and you graduated. So I know I can't wait until that day where we can all celebrate. Hopefully that day comes soon, depending on what Governor Murphy says. Right now, I believe the limit is 500 on July 3rd. Hopefully that number will get higher, but you know, we'll see as things come along. But congratulations. Love to hear about that One Clifton initiative. I think that's something that a lot of these things are things we do already. And I don't think people really realize that, is that, you know, a lot of the points the superintendent we're going over are things that happen in Clifton. And I hope that, you know, if we have this large movement now, you see other districts coming in line really with what we do. We're a diverse community. I know when I grew up and going to high school, I have a lot of friends that weren't predominantly just white. That's just not Clifton. So it's funny because it's like unheard of in this town for the most part, from my perspective at least, that you know, things like racism exist. You know that they do, but you know, in high school I didn't really see that. So really hats off to Clifton for that, having that large diversity. Lori and Fahim, yes, we could definitely work on something for 34th Legislative, and we should definitely talk. And if it's possible, I would like to even bring her into our legislative committees, if that's possible. But I yield to Fahim on that. Mr. Rivera, I'm glad to see someone new stepping up to the Board of Ed. Best of luck to you. I remember when I was coming out and running, you know, it was, in the beginning, it was a frightening experience, but definitely worthwhile. Something about the Board of Ed, though, that many people don't necessarily know is we only control 3 things: policy, finance, and the superintendent position, hiring the superintendent. And outside of that, we really don't control anything within the schools. That's all done within our superintendents, which is why we hired someone who is very strong, which is Dr. Robert Tozzi, who's been doing an amazing job running these schools. You know, we hear it day in and day out, but it's definitely true. He is the man in Clifton right now. But with that, so Board of Ed, what can we do on some of these issues? So one thing is policy, and going through our policy book, and after seeing all these comments about things that should happen, and speaking of racism and natures of color, I went through the policy book to see what we had, and I see a couple of things here. One is regarding clothing and patches that have runnings or pictures that depict racist comments. All of that is banned. There's information here about people sending messages that contain material that may be defined as a reasonable person as profane, obscene, or racist, sexist, etc. We also say we do not, the board should not restrict or limit the options presented to students on the basis of race, creed, or color. The district will not use tests, guidance, or counseling materials which are based on stereotypes of the base of race, creed, or color, ensuring there are no differential requirements for completion of course offerings for race, creed, or color. And this is just sprinkled all throughout our policy book. So that's how we, as a board, can eliminate things of racism and ideas of racism and people looking at ideas for color. And I know people are talking about, you know, black versus white and different varieties of you know, color issues going on. But honestly, I think even just speaking at it in that respect really creates a further divide. When you talk about something and you talk about it in that manner, all you're doing is creating further divide. What we really need to talk about is moving forward, right? So some of those things that we have to change, you know, we are working on changing. Again, I love to see what I saw when Dr. Robert Tozzi put out his Clifton One initiative. I think that's something that's really going to be positive. As for the naming of the schools, I know Christopher Columbus specifically, that's a name that's tied with Italian American heritage. And you saw Cuomo on TV the other day, and he said it himself, you know, that he understands the feelings about Christopher Columbus, but it's come to represent and signify an appreciation for the Italian American contribution and heritage for New York. So that's why he supports that statue being there. So it's one thing to say people have certain backgrounds, and yes, you know, racism is obviously wrong, but back in that day they had a different mindset. You know, just like today, I'm sure there's certain things that we do, like we eat animals, right? If you think about it, we eat pork and we eat beef and chicken. Some people don't, but you know, many do. So who's to say 30 years from now somebody's going to say that, you know, we were misrepresenting, you know, what humans should do and how they should act in society. But aside from that, taken out of context, just tied to the Italian American heritage, you know, I think that by renaming a school, you may be doing a service to one group, but then a disservice to another. So I think we should look at everyone and look at all the facts before we make any rash decisions. So that's just my comments for tonight. Thank you, everyone, and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Canova. Mr. Daly?
Okay, thank you, Madam President. Just a few comments. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the graduates of Clifton High School. That becomes official on Friday, tomorrow. The administration and the staff and the teachers, everyone from top to bottom, have done a yeoman's job in this very difficult and new territory about getting our kids educated, getting to graduation. We also have students that have are going to move from the middle schools to the high school, that have been in the elementary schools or going on to middle school. I congratulate all of you on your obtaining your milestone. And I'd really, really, really like to congratulate all the staff on all the hard work and make sure we did the absolute best anybody could do in these circumstances about celebrating your success and milestone in your life. I'd also like to congratulate the superintendent on his One Clifton initiative. Everything the superintendent's done to date, he's never ceased to amaze. Let's put it that way on how he's progressing this district, and this is kind of reflective of the board. The board really rallied around when we hired Dr. Robertosi. We saw somebody with very special talents, and this is not so much about patting ourselves on the back, but I think each individual board member had enough of sense and intelligence and scope to understand where we wanted to take this Clifton district. And as Mr. Canova says, we have very little say in anything except the superintendent. And I always said during the campaign and the last election, there was nothing more important than we could do. And we got Dr. Robertosi. We're fortunate to have him. And he's never, in the very least, ever disappointed. And one final comment. I'm a lifelong Clifton resident. I make no apologies for that. And I've seen Clifton turn into a vastly predominant white to a very diversified city. And the city's become, in my mind, stronger. My professional career, I've worked in minority communities. I worked in the city of Newark and Elizabeth in Union County. So I have a vast experience. I went to high school in Patterson, so been in the service. Despite my skin color and my current employment, I'm technically the minority there as a white male, and I have an absolute ball with my colleagues who are highly diversified. And I just want to not leave the public misunderstanding or have an impression that this is an all-white school board. We have changed drastically in the last years, and we've had now 4 minority members. I don't know, Fahim, if they call you a minority member, you're Palestinian.
Yeah.
But we've had the first African-American elected. We've had 3 Latinos. We've had Ms. Pino, Mr. Montero, and Ms. Beltran. I think this shows, and along with Mr. Abedrabo, but just like the first Italian or the first Irish got elected way many years ago, the town is clearly embracing the diversity by having can look past color and look at the quality of the individuals, and really we have a diverse board of, Ms. Pino moved on, Ms. Montero became a judge in another town, and we also have a minority law firm. Our Ms. Gutierrez is a Cuban American, and her owner, Perry Labadier. They're a full minority firm, and they do a terrific job. They only do education, but so all the board members realize the diversity and have acted very prudently on who we hire and understand this is not the world of the 1950s. We are in the 2020s now, and we continue to move forward. So nobody on this board has pulled the reins in. I think we've opened up the doors, or continuing to open up the doors on all the moves we've made. So we're not perfect, but I think we do a great job. And I think every board member recognizes the diversity of the town and embraces it. With that, I'll conclude my remarks. Everybody have a safe summer. I'm looking forward to hopefully resolving some of our financial issues. If we get some guidance from the Department of Education, I could talk about hours on that. But that's our next challenge, and making sure we're able to get our schools open in September and restore face-to-face education. Thank you, Madam President.
Mr. Daly. Mr. Casper.
Okay. First, I'd like to congratulate all of our graduates this year. These were trying times, and everybody persevered through all of this, from the students to the staff to the administration, who helped run our district smoothly. I had the pleasure, like Mr. Abadrava said, to help today set up our signs for our graduates at the high school with Mr. Smith, and along with all the administrators from the high school. It gave me such a feeling of excitement to help acknowledge all of our high school graduates this year. I'd also like to congratulate and welcome aboard our new administrators to our district. I look forward to helping Dr. Robertozzi, along with our other members, to help move One Clifton forward through our district. And I'd like to thank all of the retirees this year for all of their dedication and service to our district. And I'd also just quickly like to congratulate all of our Region 1 band and orchestra winners for this year. Enjoy your summer, everybody, and I'll see you in July.
Thank you, Mr. Casper. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, President Danny. I too will just echo my colleagues. It was great to be able to join the graduates today and seeing a fantastic program, on seeing probably in excess of 14 graduations since I've been involved with the Board of Education. And each ceremony is important and special in its own for each of the graduating classes. I have to tell you today, seeing the ceremony today was quite impressive and quite moving. And hopefully it will open some discussion going down the road of changing up our format of graduation. Not saying that the standard graduation ceremony isn't important, but over the years, sometimes we stick with tradition and the same things that we do year after year. And seeing this graduation today just proves that we can move off the path of consistency and things that have been done this way in the past and do things in a better way. And I have to commend the entire staff from the high school and all the volunteers and the people that showed up today to make this a moving ceremony. I could not believe the amount of smiles, the amount of tears, the amount of smiles on parents' faces, to be able to be on the field and get a picture with their child is something totally different than sitting in the stands with hundreds of other people watching the ceremony from up there. Here it was a hands-on, it just was a moving experience. And I hope it's something that we go forward with in making some changes. So here we were forced into a situation. We made the best that we could of it. And it turns out to being, to me, one of the most moving graduations that I've been involved in since being a part of the Board of Education. So I commend all those. I know Miss Rogers was the architect, and she did a phenomenal job, and her entire crew. Just seeing all the high school vice principals and all the help that she had was just a tremendous credit to her. And then joining my two colleagues in, I'm actually very sore right now, and I guess I'm showing my age here, but with all the bending we had to do to put all those signs up today. But when we were done, I said, how great is this? How great is this that Clifton is honoring their graduates with this beautiful display of the people that we are. That's why I became a board member. The main reason I became a board member many years ago is not because of teachers, and it wasn't because of administration, and it wasn't. The number one reason that we are here is for kids. Kids are what we are all about. And if we remember that, I am most proud of, speaking of diversity, I am most proud that over the years that I have represented and helped kids of every diversity. And I didn't look at these kids on the color of their skin or where they came from or where they live or what their backgrounds are. I was here to help educate and help the process of helping kids. And that's what it's all about. So anyone that wants to get involved with the Board of Education, your number one reason should be here is for kids. And if we keep that in mind at all times, we can hold our heads up high and be proud of what we do here in Clifton. And I have to say, with the graduation program, I know many other towns had different things they had in mind. And our friends over in Wayne, I know they wanted to do something special, and it was kind of put down in the courts. And Wayne verbally credited Clifton and said, you know, we should have done what Clifton did. And we tip our hats off to Clifton for what they did for their graduates. So I'm most proud to be a board member for all that we do in this district. And we credit Dr. Robitaille for so much, and we should. And today, I'm most proud, and the public should know that Dr. Robitaille, when he was hired, set 5 goals that he wanted to accomplish. And the board supported him in those goals. And tonight, I'm happy to say that those 5 goals are now completed. And even with the pandemic and even with all the problems that we had, Dr. Robitaille not only achieved those goals, but superseded those goals. And it's going to be hard for him next year in picking goals because it's going to be hard to top what he did this year. But the public should just be aware that the board is most proud of Dr. Robitaille, especially for achieving those goals and achieving those goals in a very difficult atmosphere. So, of course, you know that I'm a big fan of yours, and I thank you and credit you for the accomplishments that you made. And I want everyone in this district to know, plain and simple, with all that's gone on in the world today and all the problems that we had, if we didn't have a leader like Dr. Robitaille in the helm, none of this would have been accomplished. I'm sure of it because I see it in other districts where it didn't go as smooth as it did in Clifton. And Dr. Robitaille will be the first one to tell you it wasn't easy. It wasn't a cakewalk. It wasn't something that he spent long hours and long nights with his staff every meeting I come here and I thank the staff and all that you do. And, you know, Dr. Robitaille has 2 of the greatest assistant superintendents who work their butts off and do great for the district. And Mr. Ross, who does a phenomenal job. And, you know, we look over into our business department and Mr. Yusi, he does a phenomenal job for us in making sure that the numbers are in line and make sure that the district has things to be able to do for the students. It's a well-oiled team, and I have to credit all of you. And now Mr. Yusi has a great assistant in Eric, and the district is only going to continue to do great things. And I could sit here and thank everybody individually, but my board members are going to shut me up. So I just have to thank Clifton as a group, as a community. We're doing some great things. Do we have to improve on some things? Of course. But we're going to do it together. But if we remember the main reason that we're here is for kids, nothing else matters. Nothing else can go wrong. And we're going to give the best education that we have to the Clifton kids. And in saying that, one last thing, we want to make sure in Clifton that Clifton kids are the only kids that are getting educated in Clifton. And believe it or not, some people like to come from other towns to say that they live in Clifton so that they can get an education in Clifton. And that's not allowed. We want the best education for our kids. We want the money and resources to go to our kids. And the residency committee and the board do a great job all year with our domicile investigating team and our residency team to make sure that Clifton kids are the ones getting educated here. So I'm just going to briefly just tell everyone, if you're not aware of it, I know it's on our website and I know it should be on all material going home, but we have a tip line, an anonymous tip line. Okay, 973-473-1444. And if you know of anybody that is coming to Clifton to be educated, but they live in another town, please let us know, because those resources should be going to our kids. The monies should be going to our kids. And I have to tell you, over the years, I can't tell you the amount of money that we have saved by investigating and finding out kids that don't belong here. And right now, the board has a current bounty that we offer, that anyone that comes to us with information that leads to the removal of a non-resident, right now, the board is giving $1,500 for all those non-residents, because we want the taxpayers to know that their money is being spent on Clifton kids. And we want them to have the best that we can offer them with the resources that we have. So we hope that Clifton kids will only be the kids that will be educated in Clifton. So I commend our residency team, our domicile investigating team under the direction of Mark Gingaro and all that they do. So again, thank you all. Have a great summer. Thank you for all that you have done, everybody in the district, especially parents and the kids themselves. They have been phenomenal. I have to credit all of you kids, if any of them are watching tonight, but if their parents are watching, please tell your kids and thank your kids. They really did a great job in a very, very tough situation. I commend you all. Be safe. God bless.
Thanks for your support, Mr. Smith.
Vice Chair Basford.
Good evening, everyone. So June, it's the end of the year. And as we normally I would look back and normally I would be begging people this time of year for help. If it was the night before graduation, I would be all frazzled, begging people for their help for project graduation. And it's sorely missed by me and many other people in the community. But I want to start out with One Clifton, because the One Clifton has really morphed from Dr. Robertuzzi's seed from last meeting. It has had many conversations in my house with my two children, especially my son, and then my daughter. A lot of arguments, a lot of things I didn't know as an adult, a 60-year-old woman, and things that I didn't realize growing up that my children had to educate me on. But I know Santiago. I remember him sitting in front of me in 2018 and before that in the audience. I remember when he graduated. I remember seeing him around. I see him on social media, and I see how he has grown as a man. And I support things that the students are doing. I hear them. Justin Rivera, I've done my little research. I know your dad. I know him very well. Your dad is a very important person to people in my family. He's a male nurse and he helped some people in my life be well. So I welcome you to this venture you're going to get into. And I look forward to hearing your platform to see what you have to offer. And the people of Clifton will need to hear what you have to offer as well. It's always good to see young people getting involved in this arena. It's you start out naive to the point where you want to do all this stuff. And then when you get into this arena, you realize that, as Mr. Canova said, we're responsible for three things. The most important is policy, because we are the policymakers, and anybody that doesn't know that policy is the most important thing on the Board of Education, they don't understand that sets the whole tone of the board. But we hire the superintendent and the other things that Joe talked about. But I just wanted to touch base on that. We need to focus on intersectionality, because there are many layers to identity, and that is not an argument. And we need to start the conversation like Dana said. But tonight I want to talk about graduation, because that's what this time of the year is most important about. It's about our students. It's about their accomplishments. And because they have gone through so much. The year 2020 started with so many high hopes. Everybody was so excited that we were going to have all this great stuff going on, 2020. And then March came around. One of my colleagues in the state posted something yesterday about going back to work and looking for his dress socks. But it was a poignant thing to me, because he runs and he uses his socks. They're labeled right and left. So there's always a tease going on between us about his socks giving him direction. So when he posted that yesterday, that little symbol of putting those socks on his feet meant normalcy to us in the world of social media that follow that bubble. And we all got very emotional yesterday on a Facebook post, because to all of us, it meant that normalcy was coming back to some of us. And I'm going to get emotional, because watching the posts on social media, although I could not be there because my job prevented me from leaving my home, and I had a lot going on in my house I'm not going to talk about, but not being able to help with the signs and help with other things, but seeing those kids walk across that stage today, being at that stadium and seeing my friends post with the socks meant that we are starting to come back to a quasi normalcy that we all need. That other conversation is going to take place. But right now, the normalcy of 2020 and our Clifton High School graduates need to come to the forefront today and tomorrow. And that's what I'm asking everybody right now, all over social media, is the next couple of days, I want to honor our graduates of Clifton High, because our formal graduates that are coming online and they're coming to meetings, you had your time. Let the 2020 kids have their time now. We want to make that the issue. And then when we have a meeting, you're more than welcome to come back, and hopefully willing, when our normalcy comes back, we can meet face to face, have a conversation and talk about it and do it the right way, and have people from all the areas of the community, the stakeholders, talk about this in the proper way. And that's what I wanted to talk about, normalcy, because quarantine has done a lot to a lot of us. It's brought out the good, it's brought out the bad. It's made people realize what they're missing in their lives, what they need in their lives, and what they want in their lives. So to all the staff, you've done a yeoman's job. To all the parents that had to step up to the plate to become quasi-teachers, and to the students that have become resilient learners to learn what the word virtual means, to learn what the word remote means. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. To the graduates of 2020, although I won't be riding that bus out tomorrow night on Route 46, screaming my voice to where I don't have it anymore and not getting any sleep for 2 nights. I wish you the best of luck in this world. You, my friends, will know what the word resiliency means because you have lived it. Congratulations, my friends. And to the fathers on the board, happy Father's Day. To my friends out there, happy Father's Day. God bless every one of you. And one day we will all have the conversation, Miss Dana, that we need to have. God bless you.
Thank you. So first, I'd like to say thank you to all of the speakers. Congratulations to all of those hired. Congratulations to all our graduates and all the staff members and administration for all the hard work that they've done in these times of COVID-19. To the parents, to the students. It's been a very challenging time. And recently I attended a New Jersey School Board's meeting, and they talked a lot about the challenges moving ahead. What will the 2020-2021 school year look like? And after I spent the whole day in the meeting and hearing all these challenges, I called up Dr. Robertozzi and I said, I'm so glad that I'm not in your position right now. And it's just that I know there will be people that will be unhappy with what the new academic school year will hold in September. There will be people who will be happy. And it's just a real challenge. And I want to say, Dr. Robertozzi, you're doing a great job in what you're trying to do in Clifton with One Clifton. But we really have a lot of challenges ahead, and I don't have to tell you, I know, as we look forward to the next academic year, and that's what we really have to focus on. Some students have lost instructional time. It's very different. And again, I'm an educator, and I know it's very different to give instruction in the virtual world. I know that some teachers express the challenges with giving instruction at the elementary level. So how will we ensure moving ahead that these students, don't slip through the cracks? There's so much that maybe many people just don't even think about. And I know that I didn't think about till I was at this meeting. And, special ed children, regular ed children, people who are now in a compromised immunity or compromised positions to where how do they feel coming back? The mental challenges, everything. And really, I'll be the person that is on the end that will execute the plan as a teacher, but I'm just, again, just being part of that process to figure it out, to actually be the one that, your name goes on that. This is your plan. And even though it's a compilation of stakeholders, everybody will be involved, but it still is ultimately, who will get the phone calls? Dr. Robertozzi. So it is a very challenging year moving ahead. As far as diversity, again, I think that, we have to think about in light of everything that's going on and sort of think about what do we need to do? The students that have spoken are a product of the Clifton school system. We need to ensure that the students that we have today now, that, you know, they will be just as educated, that they will be well-spoken, that they will speak to topics that touch their heart. So we'll need to unite and not divide. We need to come together in this time of, you know, challenge. Because as I said, I mean, there's some that might have fallen through the cracks. And we've got to ensure that everyone comes together so that we have these individuals who can speak and speak so eloquently and you know, take up petitions and do whatever it is that is in their hearts. Again, they are products of the Clifton school system. And when it comes to diversity, I'm on a board where I am one of 3 women. And I'm a Polish American woman of immigrant parents who came here and faced challenges. And as a child of immigrant parents, I mean, I faced many challenges. Many times I was discriminated because, again, the culture, the things that were done were very different from the way things were done. So, you know, we are a very diverse board, as several board members have stated. And we understand the diversity that is Clifton, and we embrace that. And finally, I just want to say happy Father's Day to all the dads out there and to my dad, Stanley Quallek. And that's all I have for this evening. Dr. Robertozzi.
Thank you, Madam President. First, thank you to the commissioners and the kind words that were said about me. Please know that I am so grateful to be in Clifton. I appreciate the fact that you're thankful to have me, but I found Clifton at the right time in my life, and I am grateful to be here. I plan on being here for a long time and continue on some of the successes that we've had this year and address some of the weaknesses that we know that we have. And while I've done some good things, it's because I have a great team. And I'll make mistakes. I have made mistakes. I'll make mistakes again in the future. But know that I will always give it my all, and I will always do my best for the children and the Clifton community. Having said that, congratulations to the class of 2020. I can't believe that it's the end of the year. And although it's not the way we wanted it to end, this class is certainly going to have a lot to remember. So today, it still might not be known to many, there was a surprise that popped up at Clifton High School. So at this time, I have a video that I'm going to share with the board, and we'll live stream it. This is a little tribute to the class of 2020. It is a 5-minute long video, but certainly I think we need to watch the whole video as a tribute to the class of 2020. Mr. Mountain, could you share the video? Sure. There's a little bit of a delay on the Zoom with the video. The video might have appeared a little choppy. It's not really that as choppy as it was when going by the signs, but we'll be posting that video on our social media, and that'll be widely distributed. So just a little tribute to the class of 2020. And I have to give a big shout out to the class of 2000 who had the idea and actually purchased these signs. So the class of 2000, they have a Facebook group, and the idea came about as a collective idea in their Facebook group. Vicki Rogers, who is a current vice principal at the high school, member of the class of 2000, and she's also the graduation coordinator. She suggested it, and she organized the monetary collection. And another member of the class runs a marketing business called Blend Marketing in Bloomfield, and put the signs together. So thanks to the class of 2000, that's Clifton paying it forward. So it was really, really nice to see that. Tomorrow, the virtual graduation for Clifton High School will be at 5 p.m. The 8th grade moving up ceremonies will be at 4 p.m. and the 5th grade moving up ceremonies are at 3 p.m. respectively. Links to those ceremonies will be sent via email. They'll be posted on our website. We'll put them on all of our social media platforms so that you can see them. And I believe there is a way to, once the link is active, I believe there's a way that you can download the video and to keep it, forever. Finally, I want to go back to the signs for a second. We're going to keep those signs up certainly all day tomorrow. It's graduation day, but we're going to keep them up over the weekend. And then starting Monday, we're going to allow the seniors to come and pick them up. So, do a drive-by tomorrow, check out your sign, find your sign, see where it's located. And then on Monday, you can come back and pick it up and keep it. That's yours. Compliments of the class of 2000. So I have drafted a communication that's going out to all staff and all community members tonight. I'm not sure if it went out yet. If it didn't go out yet, it's going to be going out soon. But I'd like to just read an excerpt of my letter, my end of the year letter to everyone. It's hard to believe that we're at the end of the 2019-20 school year. And as with any new job, I expected a slight learning curve when I was first appointed as the superintendent a year ago. I can say with a fair degree of certainty that no one anticipated what this school year had in store. Despite the unprecedented challenges, though, that we faced and are still navigating, we came together, faculty, staff, students, parents, and community, and we adapted. The support that I've received from this board and from the community as a whole during my first year humbles me, and I thank you all. We don't know yet what September will bring. However, I will be communicating throughout the summer as we receive guidance from Governor Murphy, the Department of Education, the Department of Health. And regardless of what the 2020-21 school year looks like, we will have multiple contingency plans for all scenarios in place. The only thing I can guarantee is that it's going to look different than any other opening to the school year that we've ever had in our history. I'm sure of that. So collectively as a community and across the world, we've had our lives upended, whether we redefining our teaching and learning models, implementing new safety measures, or committing to social justice change, we remained Clifton strong. And I'm in awe of the resilience and fortitude of our community. These are lessons that our children will carry with them forever. Finally, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the petition that is circulating to change the names of Columbus CCMS, Christopher Columbus Middle School, and Woodrow Wilson Middle School. This is not a decision that I can make or this board can make in a vacuum. We certainly need to be aware of our past. We need to learn from our past. One could argue that we should make this a learning experience for our students, and that every student that walks the halls of our middle schools should be made aware of the complex legacy of these historical figures. Having these buildings named after historical figures does not mean that the board or the community believes what they believed or condones any immoral actions that may have been committed. There's a famous saying as a history teacher myself that we always taught our students, if we forget our history, we are doomed to repeat it. So we have to be very, very careful and vigilant of that. Having said that, I understand the desire to remove those names from our schools because we don't stand for racism. We don't stand for bigotry. We certainly don't stand for genocide. And the question becomes, by having these schools named after these figures, are we glorifying these things? Do we need to confront our past? This is a complicated question. The one thing I know for sure is that this is not a decision that can be based on emotion. We need to look at facts, and we need to listen to all perspectives. And it's certainly not a decision that we should make without the engagement of many stakeholders and in due time. We need to take our time. As was stated eloquently by Ms. Beltran and other board members earlier, my focus right now as superintendent is on the reopening of our school district in a safe and efficient manner. There will be time to discuss the petition, and I know that this board will listen to all perspectives, but at this time, my focus is certainly on the reopening of schools. Thank you, Madam President. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Dr. Arbertosi. Next order of business is new business, and I know we have some new business.
Ms. Stanny, just as a reminder, for new business, as Mr. Canova mentioned, about in-person meetings for discussion.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, I didn't, Mr. Abudrabo, I didn't quite hear what you said.
Yeah, I'm used to that. What I meant to say was, I'd like to discuss. I motion for us to discuss the reminder of the in-person meeting discussion back at a normal Board of Ed meetings. And I believe Ms. Bassford said, I'm not going to speak for her, she can speak for herself.
Yeah, I second
Okay.
that motion.
Okay, so Mr. Abudrabo, motion, second by Ms. Bassford. Roll call.
Wait,
Yeah.
clarify, are we just having a discussion? Are we voting on something?
Technically, we don't need a motion. We could just have a discussion unless we are taking
Okay.
action on something.
Okay.
All right, so then I make a motion to discuss the topic of in-person meeting, and perhaps I'll start the conversation off, and perhaps we should have it at the high school, because if we have our capacity of 25% of the building structure or a certain amount, the high school will be the most feasible place to do it because of its size and allowing us to play with the numbers, because between board meetings, between Mr. McConey, his crew, between our lawyers, or our lawyer, and between our administration, I think that brings about 17, 18 people alone. So we eat up the majority of folks who could be in a room or in a facility location. So perhaps I think the idea of going back to some sort of normalcy, I mean, listen, I love seeing you guys at Zooms, but I think I also feel better seeing you guys in person too, so we can have a real normal conversation. Because obviously this whole call-in idea, while it was our first day today, wasn't ideal. And having Mr. Uchi drinking 3-4 bottles of water in 5 minutes, also is not, to me, is not ideal. I'm sure his stomach hurts after a while with aches. Or we should just send him a blank check for bottles of water, Nirvana. So yeah, I think it gives us the idea to do so. That's how I feel. Some may feel differently, and I will leave it to that. Thank you.
I have a question. If we do that, we have to be 6 feet apart, right, on the dais? And we have to, if people come in, we have to check everybody's temperature. How does this work? What's the protocol? Would that be?
I think we're jumping the gun a little bit. We don't know the actual protocols yet from the governor on reopening. And because we only have one in July, right? One meeting in July and one in August. It would probably be best just to stay with the Zoom through the summer. And then at that point, my main concern is we really need to get Mr. McConey and Eric involved in what would it take to get, if we move it to the high school, about televising it, that type of thing. And who knows, maybe in September, board type things are going to be different than a school structure restrictions. I don't know. I just think we need more information, and we should really have both Mr. McConey and Mr. Mountain in on anything that we do going forward if we're changing our venue from School 6.
Can I make a suggestion? Perhaps if we were to discuss it, and again, I'm not in the committee, but I personally think it's a great idea. Nor have I spoke to any committee member about this. It's something, for me, I spoke to one person about it, but not committee related. But if we were to do it, excuse me, obviously perhaps there is no real definition or direction of how to do it. They said just do it, right? Same like summer schools. Every school just could do whatever they want, but I'm going to keep my hands off. So this would be the same idea. So at the end of the day, it would be the administration, Dr. Robertazzi, and maybe perhaps with support of Board of Ed and discussion as we're doing now on how do we do it. So do we have a nurse at the front desk or the front door taking temperatures, for example? Is that something we want to do? Do we make sure everybody comes with gloves and masks, or at least masks? Miss Bassford, you mentioned it 6 feet apart. That's why also the high school would be ideal, because then we can spread out on the bottom footing of the stage, rather than being on the stage and one of us, God forbid, falling off. We could be on the floor apart and spread ourselves out. So there is a way to play with it, doing it at the high school. So, and there's, again, we do temperatures, we make sure everybody's got a mask. It's not ideal, but if the board decides as either at large or the majority that this is something we should be doing, rather than all of us trying to play with technology, again, I'm only one of 9, so.
Well, my view is if we do, then we change everything back to going in-person format. All the committees, everything back to in-person. It's either all or nothing. So then we all do go back to, like I said, meeting. Obviously the committee thing's not so much of an issue because you can separate. It's only, 3 and 4, whatever. But it's either all or nothing. My personal thing, I feel like at least through the summer, while numbers are, because they say like with the reopening thing, sometimes numbers could surge up. Some were saying in New York, some of the numbers. So I'm a little fearful, to be honest. That's just me. But I just do feel that if we go, then we go full one way or full the other way, not like this mixed, and that's all I have to say. Dr. Robertosi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have to say, when we talked about this, I think in Education Committee a couple of weeks ago, I was in favor of trying to have a live meeting in July at the high school. I've since changed my mind on that. I agree with what Mr. Smith said. I think at the very least there's 2 meetings. There's one in July, there's one in August. Now, certainly I'll do what the board's having a meeting. I'm going to be there wherever it is. It's the board's decision. But I think it's just in the best interest of everybody to wait till September. And let me just say one more thing. When we do get back to live meetings, I got to tell you, I don't know that we need to nix this whole Zoom thing all the time. I mean, we've had some very successful committee meetings that have been done virtually. So I don't know that we necessarily always have to have a committee meeting in person if we can do it on Zoom. I think that what we've been doing and how everyone's adapted, I think it's going to change how people work forever. And so I wouldn't throw it off the table that once we get back, everything's back. I would just keep in mind that maybe if we need a committee meeting, you could do it via Zoom if necessary.
Absolutely. You're 100%.
Ms. Bastard.
Well, just with the whole, what it's going to look like, you're going to have to get information from the health officer because you're going to have to take people's temperatures. You're going to have to make sure that there's a custodian around to clean the bathroom if somebody goes in the bathroom. These are guidelines that they're giving for businesses, period. So the thing that I'm worried about is if you were to put us in the boardroom downstairs, I would have issue with that because the ventilation to me is not up to par where I would be. I get hits all the time on social media that I'm an older person, but you know what? I do have some underlying health issues. Putting that in that situation, that would bother me about sitting in that room. So I'm going to probably get hammered around about it. But yes, I would prefer to wait to September rolls into, and nothing to Mr. Abadrabo, but I would prefer to September because, and the Zoom meetings, I'm able to, take my lunch later in the day, pop on a committee meeting. I'm doing it while I'm driving in the car. I can put, my little thing up on the dash and you guys see my screensaver, but I'm participating in the meetings. You hear my voice. We're talking, and it's made my life so much more easier because I can participate at the weirdest times of the day when you guys have these requests for these meetings. So we're going to have to amend our bylaw with the structure of our meeting for committees, and also if we do decide to have Zoom meetings, weather permitting, maybe if we have a snowstorm rolling in or ice storm, we can have a Zoom meeting instead of having a regular board meeting and advertise it. I don't know how that's going to work, but we have to work with our legal attorney on that to figure out what the wording could be like that with in policy. But it's going to morph into a different direction. I agree with that. So I'm for holding it to September.
So I want to make something very clear. I'm not against all this. I'm just against being cooped up in the home with my kids when my kids are telling me to shut up during board bed meetings. Because come August, you're gonna see number 3 in my lap during board bed meetings. That's all I'm saying. I just want to get out of the house. So that's my only out. I just want to get out of this house and not be cooped up. So that's why this week the whole graduation and poster thing, I was excited. I was there all day. People are looking at me like, why are you here all day? Because you don't know what I'm dealing with every day.
You could
say we'll open up the board conference room for you. You could go sit in there by yourself with your computer.
Listen, when your 3-year-old has broken your TV and your laptop in 1 week, yeah, you're done. You're done.
Judy, I think you bring up a very good point. When we do make whatever move we're making, I think it has to be unanimous, and I think we have to take into consideration everybody's, as Judy said, you have health issues, I have health issues, there may be other people that have health issues. You have to take everyone into consideration. And if there's a fear of, and I know a lot of people out there today are very fearful, if there's a fear of being in that type of setting, we have to respect everyone's, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but we have to respect everyone's decision on that. And I just think it's something right now that we can hold off. And I agree with Judy that the Zoom thing right now is working out fine.
Well, right now it's our normalcy. This is our normal. Because, we got to meet everybody where they're comfortable. Right now, we're all in our little bubbles, and this is how comfortable for every one of us because we're in our own little protection bubble. I have my own worries about this thing spiking. That's just me. I have all these quirks about it, but it's, we have to all, it should be everybody's decision, but whatever the board, I will go along with the majority, so.
I'm already out here exposed every day, so I don't, I'm fine either way. You guys can come to the supermarket if you'd like.
Can we 6 feet apart? Can we socially distance?
Yeah, social distancing enforced. Stay behind the red line.
Okay.
Dana, you're a witness. I've been actually offering my kids for free to come work for you.
I know you have been. Every week I get a text saying I will offer my children to come work.
I would say take them.
So can we table this until another time when we can have this discussion again?
Well,
taking my kids? No, let's talk about it now.
No, I don't think we have to table it because we suspended our normal bylaw back then. I think we're still in that realm. And our board attorney shaking head, so I think we're okay. And we would bring it back when we move to go in August to September.
Right.
Okay, beautiful.
And I might add that one of the things you want to consider also at the time that you do return to in-person board meetings is come up with some creative way to still allow for perhaps the public to be able to participate remotely, because whether you go back to in-person meetings in September, for example, there may be people in the public who might not be comfortable to be outside at a board meeting, and yet you can see from these meetings that you have a lot more public participation. So you want to be able to come up with some kind of strike a balance. So just something for Mr. Mountain to think about how to do that.
I agree. Is there any other new business?
I want to clarify something. It's sort of under new business, but I'm going to bring up new business anyway. It's about the minority aspect, and if I may, and if not, tell me, be quiet. So, while I know there were some good intentions in terms of how some of my colleagues spoke today, but I want to make it very clear that at the end of the day, we're all minorities in one way or another, one shape or form, whether it's in the 1900s, the late 1800s till now or today, or still coming from various borders to various areas. And yes, a Palestinian is a minority. And I wanted to make that very clear because actually that part bothered me. In one shape or form, we came here, our ancestry, whether I was born here or not. And we should be proud of who we are, but yet still want some sort of representation of what our community looks like. So I just want to make that very clear. I want to put it out there because after that comment was made, I got mass text messages saying, what the heck was that about? So again, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, so we don't have any, there isn't any executive session that I'm aware of. So at this point, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Casper,
I'll second it.
second by Ms. Basford. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Pass.
Stop, Mr. Albatravo.
You all know what that's about.
All right, so meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Good meeting tonight. Thank you all.
Congratulations, 2020. Woo!
Thank you.
Congratulations.